What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wolfpack Wednesday. It is Wednesday. My name is Graham. I am the Jedi Night's Watch, and I'm here with my Wolfpack brethren, EvilSneaker, DLO The Collector, Missing Brick Artemis. He's on vacation. So happy to have you all in, and let's go. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button on your way in. Subscribe if you haven't already. 2 away from 4,800. Gosh, the 4,000s have been a death march. Let's get to 5,000. It's been a while. So, welcome in. We're going to breathe. We have a special guest, being that Brick is on vacation. Before we have him come on out, I want to see how my two brethren are doing here. Happy Wednesday. Sneaker, what's going on, sir? You're on the top here tonight, looking at the chat. What's up?
Up on the top, looking down at D-Lo. Hey, D-Lo.
Looking down.
Too sweet, brother. Dude, love how you said Wolfpack Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Let's go. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Other than, I'm actually on the up and up health-wise this week, somewhat, I guess. But still got some stuff I'm battling through. But I am actually feeling pretty good otherwise. So, yeah, excited for a fun show tonight, as always.
Yeah, it's always good to have you.
Appreciate it.
And our wily vet, DLO The Collector. What's going on there? Holding us up, like always. What's up?
There's a Wilco in there telling me I'm running late again. Yeah, right.
We were pretty early. I think we were only 2 minutes
I thought
late.
we were on time.
We're
I was just like,
Yeah,
I didn't get shout out for being late. Even though I never am, but whatever. What's up, boys? Wolfpack Wednesday. Super excited to get going here tonight. It is the best night in the night. The best night of the. I can't even talk tonight. Damn
the best night of the week.
It's like good, maybe better. Depends. I don't know how the show's gonna go. We'll see.
I think it's gonna be fun.
I think it's gonna be good. I hope so. Too sweet.
Too sweet, me brothers.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Let's introduce tonight's special guest and get him out here with us right now.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome tonight's Wolfpack special guest, making his way to the stream, a YouTube superstar and friend of the Jedi Night's Watch. Please welcome
the Ben Thomas Show.
Very awesome.
The Smoke Show. Let's go. Welcome, my friend. First timer here.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
That's one of the best intros I think I've had of being a special guest on any show. I feel very honored to be part of the Wolfpack Wednesday with you guys, seeing everybody, all the familiar names in the chat. Love to see it. Really excited for the show. I've been tuning in the last couple Wednesdays and having fun in the chat and eager to shoot the shit with you guys today. So thanks for having me.
Exactly
Appreciate
what
it.
we're going to do. We are going to shoot the shit. We're going to talk about all the topics that maybe you think about in your head, but you're too afraid to talk about it with other people because you're afraid of being judged. We're going to talk about it tonight. There's going to be no shame on this show tonight. We do have a couple of releases. It's been a little light, guys, on the announcements, but we do have some releases to talk about. But we were kind of talking about backstage, but is there, we're going to start with Ben since he's a guest. Is there anything you guys have picked up recently or pre-ordered or anything you're excited about? Anything that came home this week?
Dude, I felt like it was Christmas for me yesterday. 2 figures came at the same day, even though they were slated to come on separate days. And so when I got to my office, which is where I send all my packages, because there's a receptionist there, she can always get it for me, which is awesome. I go in, it says my packages are delivered, no packages in the office. I take a look at the DHL notification. It shows a picture of some random warehouse. No idea where this is. I work in like a warehouse district, and so I start cruising door to door until I find these 2 packages. It was RoboCop, the RoboCop 3-figure, and Black Panther, the original suit one version. So, guys, it was a crazy good day. I am in love with that RoboCop, I must say. So, very good day for him.
I was watching Dean Knight's comparison video. I don't know if any of you guys follow Dean Knight, but he always does a great job just putting them side by side and really going through them. And I don't know if I need it as much as I want it since I do have the original.
Yeah, fair.
I don't know. I like the blue tint better, but I don't know if it requires me having 2. But so I was watching that with my 4-year-old, and then I'm like, well, let's watch the RoboCop trailer. And I'm like, because you could probably handle that. And then she's like, let's watch the movie. I'm like, okay. So we skipped to like when he's taking on Ed 209, and we skipped through like the acid part and all that stuff and some of the blood and guts. But yeah, she liked it. She thought it was pretty cool. So it definitely made me want to go repose my figure and think about that RoboCop 3. But I'm not gonna lie, I went on eBay just to check it out. But ain't
You let
happening
your
right
4-year-old watch RoboCop. Like, what kind of parent are you?
now. I was 4 when I watched it, and we skipped all the
I
bad
was
stuff.
young
80s,
too,
it
and
was
I was
totally
probably 5 when
different
I
I
was
was
watching
told
it.
it was a kid movie. You know, they just said, "Here you go, put this on." Well, yeah, and then watch
wild.
Die Hard when you're done with that. Okay.
That's awesome. It's the first time I've ever had
pretty
two
good.
figures arrive at the same time, though, and then you have kind of that debate of like, well, which one do I want to open first? And then you start to realize where you're truly leaning on the inside, but then you feel like you kind of left the other figure out of its experience. So maybe I got to separate them out a little bit more than I did, but it was cool. So
That's awesome. The other boys have been practicing abstinence a little bit, but when it comes to figures, new figures, is there anything? Feels like I failed that one. Is there anything you guys picked up, pre-ordered, got your heart set on? DLO, you go first.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, I pre-ordered Superman last week, the in art one. So that's it. I don't pre-order much, but I just buy when I want to. That's kind of how I roll there. But I want to get the Moon Knight figure, and Graham is trying to convince me not to do it. I'm going to shout him out here. If I should buy the Moon Knight figure, can somebody in the comments say yes if it's a good figure and I should buy it?
I literally I just replied back. I said no. He's like, no what?
That's all he did.
How about you, Sneaker?
I haven't gotten anything in, but I also pre-ordered In Art Superman. And I also pre-ordered, I don't know if I talked about this on the last show or not. I don't know if it was at that time, but I pre-ordered the Bat Cycle. So from the Batman.
Really proud of you.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
one day
excited.
you'll get a Batman figure.
I will, I will get the In Art, the Batman. Hopefully, like the same thing the way I got In Art Joker was somebody ended up canceling and then I ended up getting it with Kit. So I'm hoping the same thing will happen. I'm sure it will. There's going to be people out there who are probably going to cancel their orders and one will pop up at some point. So hoping to get the rooted In Art, the Batman at some point. But yes, those are the Bat Cycle's only one. Just eagerly awaiting what's going to actually come out at the end of this year that I have on pre-order. So
yeah,
yes.
And for me, I was able to snag the OG Shore Trooper for super cheap, which he still hasn't shipped yet. He said he was going to ship it today, so
Still hasn't moved. Damn.
wow. So I'm getting a little nervous about that, but we'll see. So hopefully that comes in the near future. But other than that, trying to stay on the straight and narrow as well. Yeah, we're gonna check in with the chat, but before we do, just want to officially welcome Ben to the show.
Welcome to the fucking show.
All right, guys, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's check in with all of you in the chat. We got the movie canon here. Hey there, panel, fellow collectors. Gio from SoCal here. I know many of you in the panel are DC fans. Did any of you pre-order that Mr. Freeze from Dragon Toy? I pulled the trigger on that one. I did see it, but not gonna lie. And I get into this with Brick a little bit, but Batman Forever is definitely not one of my favorite flicks. I do have the Batman and Robin, but I think I'm good with that. So I don't know if any of you guys on the panel think differently and are thinking about getting it.
I'm still a little bit more torn just because it hits two things. It's Batman related and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger related. So for me, those are like two ones that are very tempting just on that point alone. So haven't pulled the trigger. I kind of feel like I want to see a little bit more before I decide to go with it there, but I'm 50-50 on it here, but I'm not going to say no for now.
I'm still a little hesitant with third party too. I've really warmed to like Mars Toys, but like still hesitant with the other stuff.
Well, and with Mars Toys, so they've shown the robed Arnold Schwarzenegger with his like fluffy slippers.
Yeah.
But if you look closely in the background, they actually kind of tease what looks like his exosuit as well. So I'd be curious to see if Mars ends up doing one. But in terms of like the films, like Batman Forever, despite it being still kind of notoriously a bad movie, is still my favorite of the bad movies, I would say, in comparison to Batman and Robin, where we got to see Mr. Freeze. Like, Mr. Freeze was a fun part of Batman and Robin. But
That's right. I
still
forgot it
did,
is Batman and Robin. That's right.
yeah, all good. But I did like I still picked up the Mars Toys Riddler that's coming from Batman Forever because I do have the Kilmer and the Robin, so it was good enough in terms of third party. I was like, yeah, but not the Arnold. I think I'm gonna skip on him unless we see an exosuit. I'll be curious to see how Dragon Toys lights that suit though, because it's iconically so bright that it would require at least USB power in order to keep it going. Batteries, I don't think is possible. So we'll see.
Good call. Good call. Yeah. So Batman and Robin is fun to watch if you want to make fun of it and have like some sort of a drinking game when you're seeing something that's so incredibly stupid. But Sneaker, what are you? I mean, I know you haven't seen that flick yet. So does it even have any?
I'm
meaning to
100%
you?
excited to not get this figure.
There you go.
No, it looks cool. It's a cool looking figure. But yeah, I got to catch up on some of these other Batman movies. Some
Right.
like these
The
older
better
ones.
ones.
Just okay.
Honestly,
Cool.
you can watch from '89 to Batman and Robin, and you'll literally just kind of see it go like this.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll watch them.
It's close with Batman Returns though. Is close, but then it just takes a dive, and
Yeah.
by the time you get to Batman and Robin, you're like, what the hell am I watching here? But that's just my opinion, you know. Whatever. I was older, so for anybody that started with Batman Forever, I could see why you'd like that film.
I mean, I always wanted a Batman credit card, and so that would have
Never leave home without it.
Never leave
I
home
was
without
I was texting Brick the other day, and I don't remember what we were texting. Something about Batman and Forever and Batman and Robin, and I'm kind of making fun of it. And then I sent a GIF of the Batman Forever Val Kilmer when Alfred's like, "Do you want something? Like, do you want dinner or something?" And he's like, "I'll get drive-through." I'm like, and that's the moment I knew it was going downhill.
I'll get drive-through.
I'll get drive-through. It's like shit. Okay, let's move on here. We got Eddie Rodriguez in the house. Batman collectibles. Speaking of Batman, what's going on? Andreas IB. Hey, all lifting and listening. Let's go. Lift away, lift away. Primetime Reviews channel member. Too sweet. How are you, my friend? DC, The Collector. He's got his popcorn ready. Doc Bat. Always good to have you here, my friend. Tighter FL. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Cylon, good evening. Mike Literis, another channel member. What's up, dude? Miss you. You know, we didn't. Was that Friday? Did we stream Friday? Yeah, that was our last one.
Last one.
Yeah, that was our last one. I was gonna say I missed you. I feel like I haven't streamed with you for a while, but it was just last Friday. So,
Yep.
Collector Joey, good evening, fellas. Got to get this guy on the show as well. Jazzy, thank you for being here. He's ready. Let's go. Mad Planet 23. Chris Santos, how are you? Adric 23, hello. Brick Artemis in the house on the East Coast. Thank you for being here, my brother. Too sweet. Yeah, we're gonna get those sound effects. We got Action in the Box. What's going on? Another channel member. Thank you for being here. Ben the Nut King. Exactly. Everybody's got their peanuts ready for him.
Awesome. Love to see it.
Yeah, no shame in this chat. No shame. Let's see. Christian Cooper, what's up, dude? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah, Jazzy says good figure. That Moon Knight. Oh, Mike says it's a good figure, but you shouldn't buy it.
Oh, okay.
But Ben says he loves his Moon Knight. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. Received Eternal Toys Penguin. Forget the haters. Not a bad piece for third party. I've heard it actually looks pretty good, except for that hat. But you get two penguins with it. You get the penguin himself. But Mars Toys just showed like a render of their new body they're using. So again, kind of just I'm kind of thinking they did that to say, hey, just a reminder, we're making ours too. But yeah, we'll see.
Is that what Mars Toys is at right now? What in the community is like? Everybody's just kind of like, you know, at this point, kind of like where we are with Hot Toys. Like, if something's coming down the pipeline, you know, we'll wait for Hot Toys to do it. But if Mars does it, okay, we'll wait for Mars.
When it comes to third party, yeah, it's almost like, let's see what Mars Toys does at this point. Yeah, they kind of have a stranglehold on that third party market, at least in my opinion.
They had put a bit of a bad taste in collectors' mouths with the reissue of the Romero Joker there, though.
That's true.
Because there were some quality differences, but I think they jumped on it really quickly. And again, assuming that doesn't continue, I think that's just a little bit of a stain, and it'll be long forgotten with the next sweet release. So,
yeah, because my vest was one of those that had the problem too. I can't remember what else they had issues with, but my vest definitely had some issues. So. We got Reverse Zeo in the house. What's going on, dude? 1/6 Star Wars Pimpazoid. What's up? Received my 1/6 scale snow speeder from Jazzing today. That thing is awesome.
Congrats.
Jeez, I bet that is a tank. That is crazy. Good job. Congrats. Commander Green in the house. Hello, my friend. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. What's up, everybody? Let's see. And I think we're caught up. I'm a Mars Toys supporter, but they're not moving very quickly with releases. Yeah, I did pre-order the Willy Wonka. So I do have that coming, and that was supposed to be Q4, which I kind of hope that gets pushed off. And I think that's all I have coming down the pipeline from them.
Mm-hmm.
Any of you guys got any Mars Toys stuff coming?
Nope.
Yeah, just the Riddler.
I do.
The Riddler.
I do think about that Joker, though. I feel like if I can find the proper Hot Toys 66 Batman, I might do it. Ironically, I feel bad because I sold my 66 Batman and Robin maybe 2-3 years ago. Just saying, like, it doesn't match the collection because you can't put them next to Christian Bale's Batman. You certainly don't want to put them next to, like, Ben Affleck. It looks very out of place. So, but then since then, you've had Batman Forever, Kilmer, and Donald come out there for Batman. I mean, so I have more figures that fit that more quirkier series back then there. So I kind of wish I had my Batman back. So if I can get a Batman, I would actually get that Joker.
Dude, that Joker's so sweet.
It looks great. I'm really like, it's very tempting. I just don't want to get the third party dynamic duo set. I just feel like since I had the original, I don't think I can do that. I think that's too much for me to bear as far as that was concerned.
It's tough too because I bought into the 66 Batman. Ben, I don't know if you have do you have those 66 figures, the Batman and Robin?
No, for the same reason DLO was saying, it just doesn't quite fit.
Yeah.
No,
So I have the Batman, and then I got obviously the Joker. But like I always really wanted Robin too. But I'm kind of at this point, it's so far down on the back burner because I'm wondering how does this fit in my collection? Like I like the Batman movie from 66, but I don't know if I want to go like all in. Like, do I want to get the Riddler and everything they're doing? I don't know because I think the two are okay with each other. Robin would be cool, but at this point too, I'm just not sure. It's kind of before my time, but it's Batman, so I still love it and I watch the movie. So I don't know. I'm kind of in that weird stage where I'm just not sure what I want to do. And he's not cheap. If he was cheaper, I mean, that would be a different story. So they're definitely fetching a good price for those.
They did have the Saturn Toys ones. Did you ever spot those ones? That was the Batman and Robin. I think they call it the dynamic duo.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
And that was a little bit cheaper than the original like Hot Toys option, at least at the time. I mean, I don't know if it's sold out now. It's hard to know.
It's weird because I'm okay with like some of these third-party figures, but at the same time, if it's based off of what Hot Toys has already done, I kind of just want to do the Hot Toys. Like if it's a figure that they haven't done,
that's fair.
Then I'm more
right
likely to get it, but I don't know. It still feels dirty a little bit to me if I go third party when I know I can get like the real deal if it as it were.
100%.
Yeah, it's like when you're shopping for sneakers as a kid with your parents, and like you really want this pair of Nikes, and they wanted to save some money, so they got you some some Ikes instead of Nikes. You know what I mean? Like you remember that old ad there, like the bootleg one they would have, at Payless, like a Chase. No, was it Payless? I think it was called Payless. Was a shoe store, right?
Yeah.
Remember those? Yeah. So
remember those, yeah.
You wanted some pair of Jordans, but you walked out with some Shaqs.
Hey, don't knock Shaqs, bro.
Nothing against Shaq.
Nothing against them.
It's not what I asked for, Mom.
Mike Literis says, Graham, my Moducases are on the way. Everybody, let's give a round of applause for making it through the wait. That's exciting, dude. I can't wait to see your setup. Definitely send pictures, send video. Whatever you got to do so we can definitely enjoy that with you. That's going to be fun. And don't forget to watch my videos if you need help. Little plug there. All right. So let's just jump into it. Thank you all for being here again. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way in. We're going to talk a little bit of releases here. Then we're going to go into Overreaction Wednesday and finish this off with some Hot Toys versus. So it's going to be a fun show. And without further ado, let's get into it. This was a figure I've been looking forward to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it right away, but what's your guys' favorite suit of the Iron Man? Is Mark III up there, or what? Ben, what's your favorite suit? Is this something that appeals to you?
100% it appeals to me. The reason I bought the Mark VII as my first suit was, in my mind's eye, it was the closest I could get to the iconic scene with the Mark III walking through the desert, launching the little missiles off with the music. And like, at the time, I was long past the plastic version Mark III. I couldn't get it. So the Mark VII diecast was like the closest. And I got that figure in hand and I absolutely love it. Then this has come up recently and I'm like, it's kind of the reason I got the Mark VII. I don't feel like I necessarily need both. If I wanted to show the evolution of the suits, I think I would do probably the 3, or the 7 and the 85 battle damage. So yeah, I don't know, but I absolutely love this. One thing that got pointed out to me the other day, though, is that it looked like the proportions seemed a little off, that the head looked a bit on the small side. Some of the photos, I do kind of see that in a strange way. It looks like he's been kind of Beetlejuiced a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, I don't think I would ever display this suit with the head sculpt on it anyways. This looks really, really cool. But I don't
Whoever
know.
took
What
these
about you
photos
guys?
did an amazing job working with this base. And he, like, even the rich cherry red colors is really selling me on
coming
this
through.
thing. It's going to be
Looks
tough
really good.
not to get this, but DLO, do you think this will be on sale though eventually, that we'll
Yes.
be able to get this on a discount?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Sorry to burst the nostalgia bubble, the love fest that's going on here, but it's still Iron Man in 2023. Unfortunately, as much as I agree with you guys, I mean, this is, to me, if there's any Iron Man figure that will encompass like the love for the character in the movies and the MCU in general, this is the one. This is, you don't hear this word every day in collecting, but this one is a legendary figure. I say that simply because it is not a grill. It's mass produced. But if you are a person who is either into Marvel, into Iron Man, or even considering possibly having one figure to represent the MCU in your collection, this is the one. Speak no more. This is the one that started everything for the last 10 to 12 years that we've been doing Marvel films. So it's an amazing figure. It's an amazing figure. It's stunning. It's definitely, I'm glad it's just not a reissue, because this is a diecast. This is a 2.0. This is not a reissue of the original one. The original was a lot smaller. Head sculpts updated. The armor and the height is updated as well too. So it's a phenomenal piece. It's 100% there. But thing here is where it is here. We're saturated with Iron Man figures to the wazoo. And in fairness to this one here, as much as this is iconic and this is legendary as I put it there, I think everybody has their own favorite Iron Man suit, and I'm not so sure that everybody finds this to be their absolute number one. I agree with anybody who decides this is for sure. That's your opinion there, and I can't argue for your logic fit there. But to me, as much as I love this here, I'm asking myself in 2023, is this going to be the figure that pulls everybody back to Marvel and start collecting it? I don't think it is, if I'm being honest. I mean, I saw this. I was excited it came out. But like 4 days, maybe 3, we got an official comic book Iron Man that was just released.
Yep.
And like no one batted an eye. We completely forgot about it. So I don't want to be negative. It just seems like, I mean, if we were talking in 2013, this was a dopo. This was sold out. This is everything. Now, I don't know. I just think Star Wars is so hot and Marvel is just not doing it for a lot of people. I think it's going to be available, and I think it's going to be available for discount. Not because it's not a great figure, but it's just that I don't think anybody's focus nowadays is Marvel like it used to be.
I hope you're right.
Well, yeah, and like you said, there's so many Iron Man figures out there. It's kind of like Spider-Man, very popular, but they make so many that they just sit, especially on like sideshows. So,
Yeah.
Steve, Sneaker, I know you don't have an Iron Man yet. Would you consider this one being your first? Does this carry more weight for you than the 85?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get this as my first Iron Man, honestly. Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this is going to be the one. I'm pretty sure, like, after seeing, like, the pictures again, and, like, I've been thinking about it since they announced it. And, like, the ones I go between are the 3, the 7, and the 85. If I got the 85, I probably wouldn't get battle damage. I'd probably want the clean one, to be honest. Because I know a lot of people prefer the battle damage and they do like the iconic snapping pose, obviously. I would prefer the clean. I also like, I'm pretty sure this one has swappable between battle damage and clean, right? Can you like swap
a little
out
bit of
that?
everything.
Oh yeah, so that's what I want. I want the ability to be able to just swap it out if I want to. You know, like that's a bonus for me as far as like I don't have to have one or the other. I can switch it in between. So maybe I want to do a battle damage pose at some point. Like that adds a good amount of like that entices me when it comes to having an Iron Man, so I don't have to buy a second one, because as you know, I'm pretty picky about stuff outside of Star Wars, but I need an Iron Man. I want one at some point. I don't know when I'm going to get this. This is an interesting one. We talk about the wait list all the time, and like this has been waitlisted for a while. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe you guys know some places like within the US, other shops and stuff that still have this available to pre-order, but I haven't really been able to find any. But I know like all the other figures you can still go either overseas, or like there's a way to get this right now if you really want it overseas. So I'm not going to get it anytime. I'll wait until next year at some point, probably kind of wait and see what happens with this one. But yeah, this looks great. I'm probably going to get this one. Hopefully, I guess we'll see. I don't think I'm going to change my mind at this point, but just like, you know, like what Ben said, like the iconic with the missiles firing, and just like when I get figures that are like one off, when I only want one in the collection, it's like what one is the most iconic version. And for me, like this one's 100% up there when it comes to that. And the suit just looks incredible. Like you said, Graham, they did a really good job with these photos. So yeah, this one gets me pretty excited. And I need a die-cast Iron Man.
I was going to say, do you have any other die-cast figures at all in your collection?
I don't. So like I saw, what one does Brick have? Is it the 50?
He's got the 50,
yeah.
So like that was the first time I've held like a die-cast figure. So like, yeah, it was wild seeing that thing in person and like actually feeling the
experience for sure.
Yeah, everybody always talks about like feeling the weight of a die-cast Iron Man, and just like I've said this before, even before I had one in hand, is I feel like as a Hot Toys collector, like you have to at least at some point have an Iron Man, or at least one Iron Man in your collection. Just
I've had so many. That's the thing.
Yeah,
that's why I can't get hyped up.
That's why I just want one. I just want one, and the one that I get, I want it to be special. The one that I get. So yeah, I'm really leaning towards this one at some point. So
heck yeah.
Yeah,
like
the thing.
Great one off. I mean, like I said, if you're not like kind of like, that's what I was talking about specifically. Like I was thinking about Evil when I was talking about that. It's just like if you're not
think when you with what you were saying, I was like,
yeah. I mean, it's a legendary, like 100%. None of Marvel wouldn't exist without this movie. Wouldn't exist without this particular Iron Man. I mean, it is legendary. That's why I call it legendary. I don't call it a Grail. It's mass produced, but it's legendary for sure.
Yeah.
So for a guy like Sneaker, this is ideal. He's a Star Wars guy, but he respects the other genres, and he likes to have some representation in his collection. And this would be a phenomenal choice there, because if you get this figure here and you don't have any other Marvel, it encompasses everything Marvel ever has made, because this was the first. So yeah,
that's exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to collecting something. So when it comes to like whether or not this is like, if the market dips on this, or like I really don't care for, you know, a couple years down the road this is sitting on, I mean, it would be nice to get it on a discount, but for me, it's not really going to matter either way, because like I would never, if I get this, I'm not going to get rid of it. I would probably keep it at least for a long while. It's something that I would keep. I wouldn't really worry too much about that. So, but yeah.
Do you guys think we're going to get the Mark II, which is basically just the unpainted version? Do you think we'll get that pretty quick here?
I feel like I don't put any Iron Man release past them, because it's such their biggest money. It's got to be their biggest money maker figure, right?
Right.
Just keep going with Iron Mans over and over.
I'm surprised we haven't even seen like a pre-order window for it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll come.
Crazy.
Yeah, this thing's really cool because it's clean here in this image, but I always, something that really got me, and it's not even just Iron Man figures, but something about the Iron Man figures too is just like, you know, the weathering, or the slight scratches and paint chips, and just some of the little imperfections that really just make it stand out and look real. Just really super cool.
This photo looks like it literally looks real.
Yeah.
In some of these photos, it's crazy.
What do you guys, Ben, what do you think about the head sculpt though? Do you think if they nailed it? Do you think it turned out okay, or?
I think it's definitely a solid okay. I've not seen really one Tony Stark head sculpt yet that I've been like, that's the one. I think the reissued or the redone, what was it, Mark 50, the Tony Stark update.
That was the clean 85, I think.
The clean 85. Yeah. That one was pretty good. I think that one's my favorite so far. I just feel like they haven't quite nailed the age of them at that particular time as a character. He wasn't like a young man in the movie, but he wasn't necessarily as old as I think he kind of looks here. I think he was kind of like early 40s, maybe late 30s. This still kind of looks like he's kind of getting close to low 50s from the sculpt. So I do think it looks like him in terms of it's still way better than that Tony Stank ever was. And I think they're on the right track. If this is your only suit of armor, I think you're still going to be very happy to see a Tony Stark in the collection. And what I was mentioning about size earlier, one thing that I didn't take into account when I was saying that was even the Mark 7 that I have, it's only got like a faceplate that comes off and you can see the Tony Stark head underneath. But if you kind of imagine taking the whole helmet off, his head would kind of look a little small on an Iron Man body because it's a sheet, like it's a suit of armor above a body, right? So like might actually be more in scale. And from the original films, the only time they ever actually had like an actually done suit or like portion of a suit, like a real prop, was the Mark III suit. Everything else was CGI enhanced. So could be part of the scaling as well. Yeah, but yeah, I still think it looks pretty good, especially if it's going to be your only Iron Man in the collection.
I went back and watched Iron Man again, kind of after this came out, because I said, it's been so long, might as well give it a go. Still one of the best Marvel movies they've ever made. It still holds up there. Maybe not all the references. He actually mentions MySpace on there, which I couldn't believe hearing that all these years later. But yeah, that's how long MCU's been around. But no, like the only time he actually has his full like head exposes in the final battle with what was the name of the? I know it's Obadiah. But I forget the name of the.
Like that you meant like the.
What was his? What was the
last battle?
Was it Warmonger? I forget what it was, but Ironmonger. I think it was Ironmonger. Yeah. So yeah, when he rips off some of his suit there, that's the only time you actually see Tony with his head actually exposed. And to Ben's point, he's right. It was more practical back then. So he had somewhat of a layer on top of him before it was just all CGI suited there. So this is the bulkiest suit that Iron Man wore throughout the entire MCU. So as it got longer into it, they started slimming down and trimming down the suits over time. So it may seem a little jarring, but it's accurate to the film in this case here. So I'm with Ben on this one here. It's just a matter of you got to go back and watch the movie again just to realize how bulky this suit is compared to the other ones.
What do you guys think when they do like almost like an upper body battle damage, but then nothing midsection and down? Does that take away from doing the battle damage for you guys? Are you okay with it, or does it? It always irritates me a little bit. Like I want full battle damage, or just give me the clean. But
it's a little weird. But I guess like it's possible. He started getting shot while he was still partially behind a wall.
That's true.
It could happen.
All right. This base though is pretty sick.
Base is dope.
I'm trying to look for this one
That's
picture.
Cool.
This one is.
Yeah, dude.
This one's sick. Like I don't know,
funny.
man. Does that get you going, DLO? Does it get you going a little bit?
I'm going where exactly? Where are we going with this?
Hyped up. We're trying to get you hyped because you said it's just not doing it.
Going here.
So look, I'm not a hype machine. Okay, I mean that's
you're very even keeled.
It's hype for that moon.
Also, you got to understand, I actually own the quarter scale version of this as well too. So I've had one in my collection for a while here. So it's a great figure, great suit. I love it. But it's just I mean it's really nice. Like I said, if I didn't have. I have, what do I have? I have 3 Iron Mans right now. I have the Mark 7, which is my favorite suit. I think that's like the perfect mesh between, machine and before nano. I don't like the nano suits. I'm not a fan of like the slimmer down suits. I like a bulkier Iron Man personally. So I enjoy that one there. And just the fact that how much it comes with, it's a ridiculous figure there. So, and I have the clean 85 and I have the battle damage 85. So I feel like I got the important ones for me. So if I was a diehard Marvel guy, I would definitely scoop this up here just to kind of bookend it because you guys know what I like. I like to get the first version and the last version of a character. I'm okay with having 2 at least. But for Iron Man, I feel like I have 3. I think I'm good. I've owned multiple, sold multiple Iron Man. I think I've had every single one except the 5 and the 6. Maybe the 6, I would break that rule to get another one there because I really enjoy that suit. But for this one here, it's great. I would have got this a couple months ago, but I've just kind of come to the grips with I got so much space and I don't want to put more figures in there that I'm not going to eventually own in there, as opposed to just being excited to have it in my collection for a little bit and then eventually getting rid of it. So I'm just going to say no this time for me.
Okay.
It wouldn't
I
even
think
be a
this would
price
look.
point thing for you, like kind of you were saying. If it hits the bargain bin, would that tip you
No,
over?
no, not for me on this one.
That's
This one, like, great figure, but like I said, if it was DC, which is my primary, and Star Wars, which is my primary, I call it A and B. Those are my two primaries. I mean, then it'd be a different conversation. But I've got a great Marvel collection. I don't want to overdo my Marvel collection.
I think this guy would look good because I have the 655s, so kind of just the square cube. I think this would look good alone with that base in that pose, just by itself. Even so, that's kind of like my vision of this figure. But because he doesn't really go, like, most of my stuff's endgame, so it doesn't really. I mean, he still could go with it, but our OCD, if Breda was here, he'd say that doesn't work. So definitely would have to keep him separate. So. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this. Let me just check in with the chat really quick because it's been hopping in here, and I want to make sure that you guys are still, part of this as well. So, yeah, Jazzy says this is a pop culture special. Bad Boy for Life says he coming home. Best Iron Man suit for me. I don't consider myself an Iron Man collector, but I don't know how I end up with 6 Iron Mans. And planning to get this one and Mark 6.
Iron Man's dangerous, man, because the figures
crazy.
are good on their own. Then you realize you wake up one day, you're like Jazz over here, and you have way more than you thought you were gonna buy. And I feel that because that was me, and that's why I had to get rid of a couple. Not because they weren't good figures, just like I just had an abundance of Iron Man, and it sneaks up on you, especially if you're a Hot Toys collector. You just, one goes on sale. Oh, that's a good deal. Got to get it. Then it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I got another Luke on the way, pre-order. Oh no, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, it's just if MCU is your jam, this is probably one of the best Iron Man you can ever get. Like I don't want me not wanting to get it for me deter anybody else in the room or in the chat from getting it themselves. I mean, like I said, if you want this, 100% get it. I love the figure, but this is me exercising willpower for me in this case here. It's not a matter of, any kind of indictment on the figure itself. It's phenomenal. Right. If I didn't have what I had, I would absolutely pick this up like everybody else.
He'd be hyped.
I would be hyped. I'm trying to be mellow so I don't buy this. And you guys
keeping himself in check is really what it is. So
yeah,
I've got let him have that.
3 more in the panel and over. Where are we up to now? Over 60 plus people in the chat. That's a lot of pressure for me right now. Not to buy this thing.
We got Mike in the house. What's up? He is requesting to be an admin. Well, I appreciate that, but that is going to be an earned privilege, and it takes time, dedication, strength,
bribe.
So tonight's your first night improving yourself, and then we'll see what we can do. Christian in the house. What's going on? My local shop has 1 left to pre-order. Tough call, but it sure looks good. It is. I mean, it's not cheap, so that's the one thing that gets in my way too. Is it's just. If you're not an Iron Man collector and you already have 1 or 2 like DLO, it is tough to want to fork over the money for it. But man, this thing looks gorgeous. Sneaker, you need to get 1 Iron Man so our collections can continue to be exactly the same.
Yeah, I was talking to Mike about that, like, because he's kind of like primarily Star Wars, and then he's probably more than dabbled into Batman at this point. But that's like the direction I'm heading is Star Wars and getting more into DC and then being really selective about Marvel. So yeah. 1 Iron Man, that's all I'm doing. That's it.
We got Miami's Nemesis in the house. What's going on? Christian Cooper says my Cad Bane just transferred from waitlist, but just got Revenge of the Sith Anakin and have Doc Ock and Green Goblin on the way. LOL. Speaking of Christmas, yeah, I think it's I think you're hitting the jackpot too. I would not, if you can, obviously be responsible, but if you can make it work, definitely pick up that Cad Bane. He's a great figure, especially if you're a huge Star Wars fan. Amazing figure. One of the top figures of the year for sure. Collective Madness in the house. What's going on? Good evening. We're doing good. Just talking a little Iron Man here. Let's see. All right. Yomo in the house. Hello, my friend. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Brick is a fan of this figure as well. Brick, are you going to get this? Would you pick this up? Let us know. All right. Anyone hitting the Comic-Con tomorrow? No. one of these years. But it's tough because Sideshow's not there. So Hot Toys kind of, you know, there's, I don't know. When they stopped going, I was kind of like, well, what's the point now? I don't know if you guys feel any different.
Yeah, it'd be nice
I would
to
go
see
for
them.
the toys. I mean, I'd go
Yeah.
for the Hot Toys. I mean, for me, I don't collect anything else, so yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, Graham. Just like if you guys come back, I'll do it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's already such a long travel distance for me in Canada here. So like, they need to have big bang for my buck to be able to justify it. So yeah, from them pulling out, it definitely takes it off the table.
I agree. And tickets aren't cheap either. Is it daily passes or is it like?
It's daily from what I remember.
Yeah.
I think they're selling specific days. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a new channel member, and it is Jazzy taking the plunge, taking that extra step to support the channel. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for always being here every week, but also just becoming a channel member. So you've unlocked perks like the emojis, shout outs in all my videos, priority to respond to comments, even though I do try to hit everybody up, as well as giveaways. And one that we're probably going to do around Halloween now is probably going to be the NeoPixel Ahsoka SC lightsaber. So you, sir, will be a part of that giveaway. So it's a members only giveaway. Hoping to do that at the end of the month. And it should be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for becoming a channel member, sir. Everybody give him a big round of applause. Yes.
Very good. Thanks for doing that, good sir.
Brick would like to get it at one point. He almost says it's good to see you, Ben. Good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
It's good to have him on. It's good to have him on.
By the way, I like your super chat videos where you're like sitting at the bar and like drinking a brandy and stuff. I'm like, that's such a good reason to super chat.
Right.
So good.
I kind of want to change it up and do something like almost from like Jackass, where it's got a lot of watchability, like rewatchability. But I'm trying to think of
Just run through your basement door. Just shut a door and just run right through it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Any other final thoughts on the Iron Man figure that any of you have? You can just jump in. The walking scene here.
Head sculpt staying in the box. I'll say that. Like I'm not gonna ever put it on this figure. It's just
It
gonna
probably
be.
would
So good with
anyways.
the helmet.
Yeah. The helmet is just. the
I'll buy it
helmet
from you
look
if you don't want it. The head sculpt.
For
Oh,
what?
there you go.
$50.
Part it out.
Like, what would you want it for?
What would you sell it for?
Oh, that's
No,
fine.
I'm saying like, what would you want it for? Like,
What would you
like,
use it
What would
for?
you use it for? Like, yeah, what would be your use case?
Look, pal, you want the money or not? Don't worry about what
Don't worry about it.
I
No,
know what he would.
I would
I
actually.
would-
I'd like to see it on my Mark 7. Actually, I would like to see it on that. That would be pretty cool.
The ass shot. There you go. For anybody interested.
I once brought an ex-girlfriend into my collection room, and she'd never seen Hot Toys before, and
That's why
she
she's an
wanted
ex.
to, and she wanted to feel the weight of an Iron Man. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. So like, because I talked about it, so I handed her the Iron Man, and she was like, oh, does it light up? And pressed the center fusion reactor right out of the chest of my
Oh,
Mark
nice.
7. Yeah,
So she wasn't invited back.
she wasn't invited back.
Like, get
That's
out.
why she's your ex.
Yeah.
Okay, it all makes sense.
Yeah,
here.
a
Good story.
brand new figure. I like it didn't even have the foam out of the arm yet, and I had
Wow.
to glue the reactor back in. So,
So-
it's not a button. Make sure you tell people
So
that.
Ben, I'm married, so she kind of like was stuck with me when I started collecting the stuff here. Like we were already like committed, so it's just like I'm doing this now. So when you bring like you like a girl over and stuff like for the first time, like what's the reaction, like the honest reaction, like when they see your collection for the first time? I'm very curious.
You know what? I think I did a pretty good job of conditioning my current girlfriend Hannah before I brought her in, because like I
Right.
met her through a dating app, and I put in that dating app basically that I was a cat dad, that I was a cross stitcher, and that I was a toy collector.
You laid
And
it
I
all.
put it in bold on my profile, and so it's kind of like if you connect with me, then at least you know ahead of time. And so, but the first thing I did was like when I first brought her to my place was bring her in here just to gauge the reaction. And honestly, she was the coolest reaction I've ever had, because she was like, "Oh, what we should do then is watch every movie associated with all the figures, so that I can have a better opinion as to whether they're like good or not, because they look pretty good, but I haven't seen all the movies." And I was like, "You are a keeper."
What
You are a
an
keeper, bud.
answer!
Yeah,
What an
she
answer!
was pretty awesome. So, and then she's been watching me in the live chats a lot and stuff like that, being a huge supporter. So I think it's just being transparent. Like, I mean, if somebody's going to judge you for your collection, tell them to pound salt and move on, because there'll be somebody else. So
I'm sure there's
There you
like a
go.
lot of people in the chat right now, like in awe of the reaction she had there. And
I got lucky.
That's a really dope story.
I got lucky. And then I was still like, I was sending her RoboCop pictures last night, and she was like, cool. And I was like, okay, thank you for being a nerd sometimes with me and and supporting that.
That is a great story.
It's like, yeah.
That was really cool, man.
I got lucky.
He's like, do you want to see my pleasure room?
Right. And it's like, it's all colored and everything in here. So like, and I'm, so like where I'm sitting at my desk, it's actually in the center of the room. So I have this identical cabinet like on this side. So I'm surrounded on both sides by figures.
cool.
So it's a lot when you walk in. I haven't done a collection tour yet. I should probably get that done.
Yeah, you got to get on
Gotta
that.
get on that. Those are important. People want
You've
those.
got to get on that. You got to get on that. Come on now.
Yeah.
Did you guys see
Cat
this?
Dad Cross Stitcher Toy Collector. It's the trick.
See this little hair, like painted on.
Oh yeah.
Look at
pretty
that.
cool.
That's
Cool attention to detail right there.
That
Just
is.
noticed that now. I just thought I'd point that out.
Can you imagine it's just like the poser's hair just got landed on the figure. Didn't come with that weird strand.
Yeah, I mean, I think the head sculpt looks good. Maybe something with the the hair. Maybe just makes it a little off for me, but it's
Hair's
still solid.
great, man. It's
I don't know.
100% accurate. It's just one of those things where, I mean, that movie's over 10 years old. I think you got to go back and watch it again because it's exactly correct. It's 100%. Maybe I should do a video on that just to give people kind of a comparison because this might be a worthy video for somebody. Ideas. Sneaker's like, I'm going to put it out tomorrow and beat you to it.
No, it's
EFG
all
ABC.
yours, man.
I think the matte finish looks not 100% same to the suit in the movie. I don't know if it's matte.
It's more of a satin.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I could see though, like this definitely looks Beetlejuice here, when you just have the portrait with like the big bulky shoulders and everything. You guys probably can't see it. Let me move this here. But there, like that definitely looks
Beetlejuice.
like the proportions aren't. But I don't notice it though with the helmeted version. So.
But that's the thing, right? Like, as I said, if you put a helmet over top of that head sculpt, it would probably look in proportion to the suit then, which then, like DLO was saying, it's actually pretty screen accurate.
Yeah.
As a result.
'Cause it was bulky in the shoulders and the chest
Oh, yeah.
area, so it's probably just that illusion. But yeah.
That looks sick too. Damn. Yeah, the helmeted photos are just really, really good for
I like the
this figure.
scratches on the mask there.
Yeah.
The battle damage looks well done.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Bloody Edge says, I don't have Marvel or DC figs, but I'm thinking of getting this Iron Man and in-art Superman. Definitely,
It's a cool start.
definitely a solid start. Like, I pre-ordered the in-art Superman as well. I think Steve and DLO did as well. So, Ben, is that something that you're interested in? Is the in-art Superman?
Yeah, I've been really on the fence with it because I've got the black suited Superman behind me, and I honestly really like that figure. I still think the Cavill sculpt from Hot Toys is pretty strong with it, and like I feel like I'm kind of like DLO was saying with this Iron Man. Like I feel like it's like the pressure of the community almost in a sense of it's like it's so cool, and like the update to the head sculpt is really strong. But I still really like the figure I've got. So like I don't know if I need it. The only justification there that I have is that I think it would be cool to have a blue and red suit. And then the black suit, like just to kind of have the evolution of that Superman, and then move on. I already have the like the original Superman as well, like the old school one, the Christopher Reeve version, and now they're kind of showing that one too. So it's like, like I don't really want to I don't want to swap them out, and I still really like the ones I've got. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like you said, DLO earlier, it's a bit of that like everybody's talking about it, and it's hard not to get hyped up by it. So
Yeah.
But I think if you like that member was saying there, like if they're thinking about getting a DC and Marvel representation, I do think the in-art Superman and this Iron Man could be a pretty cool collection. So
Yeah.
That's me. That's what I'm doing.
thank you.
Do it.
First Superman I want is definitely like the regular suit, right? Like the blue suit for sure. So I'd like to get the black suit at some point, but for me, getting my first Superman, the in-art one is the one that I want to get.
Mike says we need Iron Man figures without batteries. Amen,
Amen.
to that, brother.
Amen.
That is a long time coming. You know, they've done it with lightsabers now. They finally made them USB, but yeah, this definitely needs to be done. I don't ever mess with batteries. They're too fidgety. They don't last long. Gosh, that would be cool. we'll see. Ryan Axel says, to be fair, there were multiple suits in the first film. Hero suits, stunt suits, and CGI suits, all of which were slightly different in proportion and finish. Yeah, and I think it's more of just like almost like an optical illusion, just seeing him at certain angles. It just looks like his head's a little too small, but I don't think any of us are really bothered by it too much. So it's a great figure, solid. It's definitely on my list. It's just not one that I have to get right away. So we'll see what happens. All right. Any final thoughts on the Iron Man? Or we're moving on. Good. We're moving on to this glorious figure. Let's talk a little Batman. What a masterpiece that Hot Toys gave us here. Yeah, I want to start with DLO on this one because I know I know
I don't want to start.
Ben's a DC fan, but like DLO and I, it's almost like our connection is just DC and how close we are to it. So I want to start with him and get his take on this first.
So I praise Hot Toys a lot on this show here. I defend it probably more than most people do.
Uh-oh.
And, sometimes I get some shit for that in the comments, just like, oh, InArt's better, this, whatever. I have no words that can possibly describe how I feel on the inside seeing this in live in front of me here. Just, you ever been in denial on something so much that you're just like, it never happened. And then it finally, you're just like, you have no choice. This is it for me here. Like this, of all the figures that they could have ever made, specifically Batman wise, they decided, no.
Stir the pot, Marco.
Don't start that. Is there a future girl? No, absolutely not. In fact, this is going to be probably the more embarrassing ones here, between the D100 being a limited one for Wonder Woman, and this one, and this artisan line stuff here. This is going to be the redheaded stepchild of that group of the exclusives with the limited stuff here. I feel like this one is so ugly that no matter how limited it is, you will still find it on a BST group coming to you. I guarantee it. This thing will be passed along like an old Chrome Trooper, like we used to, like all the Chrome Troopers we've gotten the last 12 months here. It's bad. First of all, the suit does not mesh with that color. Like it is not like that gray to that suit does nothing to make it flattering whatsoever. The blue, although I think the color blue is cool, don't get me wrong, I think it was a poor choice for that color of gray. Like I can go all night just talking about why, and I really don't want to but Graham loves this stuff from me here, so I kind of
eat it up.
Go first.
Love it.
It sucks. This is gonna go down. In summary, it's probably the worst figure of the year. This one is in the top running for that one there. If we decide to go worst figures of the year,
what about the Morbius bats though? You don't like those?
Are you shitting me, dude? No. The base is terrible. It's got that goofy fake Batman logo behind it there. The gray is hideous. The bats, like this is one of those things where, like, if you've ever seen them do like the artist competitions back in Hong Kong where all the artists get to do their own inspirational take on a figure, I feel like this is where this would have came from. And Howard passed by and was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. We'll make it." And that's what we got. It's shitty. I don't have anything nice to say about it, and I really don't want to bash this figure anymore. It's the worst figure I've ever seen from Hot Toys ever in all my years of collecting. It is shamefully bad, and may God have mercy on your soul if you buy this. That's it. I'm judging you. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say
I'm not
everyone in
getting
the
this,
room is now.
But would it be weird though
You
if
need a
seeing
break.
it in like like in real time photos here? Something about it kind of like intrigues me a little bit. I still think it's almost like it looks so bad that it's kind of like growing on me a little bit. I don't know. But Sneaker, what do you think? Is this gonna be your first Batman?
No. I don't love it. Like I could see why people like this though, because I know, like, I was actually talking to Mike a little bit about this earlier, because there's like some comic inspiration for this figure, right? So I think like there's some people that are gonna lean towards that potentially a little bit with this. I don't know how accurate it is. You could speak more to that, but anyways, honestly, for me, like, yeah, this is a very easy pass for me. I'm more intrigued by what the market is gonna bring for this thing. Like, I want to see what happens with this as being because how many was this? Like, what was the limit? Was there a number limit on this?
Ben, do you remember? Was this
Too many. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry.
I don't remember if there
Does
was
anybody
a
remember
limit
what the
to it.
number was on this one?
Yeah, like there was there a number?
Yes.
I thought there was a limited number.
2,500 or something like that.
So
That's-
this is
Wonder
like
Woman was 15. I think this was
Yeah.
there was more of this one, like 3 maybe. 25,
so
3.
I'm really more intrigued by with this being one of those limited figures, like what's going to happen with this on the market. That's more like when I look at this figure, I'm more like I'm kind of interested to see what the aftermarket's going to be like for this thing,
that's why I
considering like
compared it to the Chrome,
yeah, like the
Chrome
Warner, like
Trooper,
the Warner Brothers 100. Well, yeah, like and like were the Chrome Troopers limited numbers?
They were limited. They were what were they like some kind of a Comic-Con exclusive?
Were they
or
more
something like
exclusive?
that?
Yeah. But
Something
they weren't
like
like a true limited, like when they
They
said
didn't have a
like,
number
They didn't put a
assigned to
number
them.
on it, right?
Right.
And who knows, like how many they're actually making of that? If it's 100%.
Look at how they like
accurate.
lit up
But
his eyes, photoshopped his eyes.
Yeah, his eyes have never looked that good before.
Too bright, buddy. Too bright.
Yeah, so I'm like I said, I don't really the figure's not for me. But I'm very intrigued to see what happens with this as far as like what the general consensus is and like down the road what the market for this figure is going to look like in comparison also to like the ones DLO brought up like Artisan and these other limited figures. And this will be a true test of whether or not limited numbers is the ultimate thing to get people to really want figures, because like if there's one that could be this is a limited 2,500, if there's one that's probably going to sell for lower than the others, in my opinion, I guess it's probably going to be this one if I had to guess, looking at this one versus all the other ones, just because yeah, it's very unique, but the other ones I feel like just have a lot more going for them in terms of what they are. So yeah, that's all I'll say about this one.
But if I
Not-
can
not
add something real
yeah.
quick here, like look at the background behind this Batman here. This is old classic, you know, Silver Age Batman here, and you decide to put it on Christian Bale.
That's the
Batman.
interesting thing. So it's like got this comic inspired design, and then you put it on a Christian Bale Batman. So
That's what I was going to
interesting-
say. It is inspired by that, like you said, but they used the wrong Batman for it. It should have been Batfleck.
Maybe people are like, I
BVS.
love Christian Bale, and it's a Dark Knight, and his comic inspired. And
I
that's
can
enough.
see
for them.
honestly after the Flash movie, I would have taken a Michael Keaton version, like an '89
Right.
of this, or like a '92 bodysuit there. I
Yeah.
think that would look good with the blue trunks and all.
Yeah.
Why not? But
And I think like I feel like, yeah, it's not for me, but also like I also don't underestimate that for some people, because some people are really, really into that, and like really into like you get comic inspiration for an iconic figure, even though it's not 100% accurate, or like maybe they really like Christian Bale as Batman, and then you get this. There's some like intrigue there for certain people. So like I said, I'm more intrigued by what's going to
they have
Interested
so
to see
many
what's gonna happen.
DX19 bodies left over. They said we're going to repaint one and get our money back. Dude, that's what we're going to do here. Look at that. See there,
Yeah.
Jazzy read
Yeah.
my mind there.
yeah.
But you know what?
There was
You know,
nothing new about the Wonder Woman or this Batman outside of the
No.
paint application and the rooted hair. Everything else was
This was a test trial, like I said last week when Sneaker and I were talking about this here. It's just like it was the first unofficial artisan test runs there, you know, with the exception of him because he has nothing sculpted there. But gosh, I just maybe lost my train of thought here. What I was going to say about this figure here, but
that you didn't see already. I think we know how
it
you're
should
feeling.
have been the 66. I think that's what it should have been instead when this came back. I think I said it before. I think the 66 Batman would have been an awesome
Maybe.
one to announce for that D100.
Oh
line.
yeah, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
meant 66 with this color scheme. I was like, eh.
Oh no,
I feel
no.
like a true.
Just-
I would
yeah,
rather
just
have seen
like
like
a
a true
2.0.
comic inspired
Oh,
design.
now I know
for
what I was gonna
the,
say. I don't know, like when you were a kid, when you used to collect, like what was it? What was the size back then? Was it 3 1/4 back then when we were kids?
Something like that.
3
Yeah.
3/4? Yeah, something like that. So when these movies came out, and they would come out with like the original suit, right, for Batman for that movie, but then there would be a weird one that has like it comes with like a rocket launcher, or he's a scuba diver or something like that. There, that's what the vibe I get from this one
Yeah.
here. Like it never happened, but like a toy company just made it so they can produce more and make more money off the movie that was announced there. That's what it feels like. It's like scuba Batman. What back in they used to get those when you were a kid. So it's ugly, guys. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'll shut up now.
Well, let's let Ben give his thoughts on this. Watch him be like, actually, I really like this one a lot, and I was
I'm gone.
I have it pre-ordered and everything.
I'm army building these Batman, actually. Army building. I don't know. I've got a few like tinfoil hat theories. I'm going to use a word that's not even a real word. Like, this is the most repaintiest repaint figure I feel like I've ever witnessed. It feels like we're like the wool's being pulled over our eyes a little bit on this one, because I honestly don't think that it's far-fetched to believe that after they announced the Armory Batman upgrades from the DX19 that had literally just started shipping out to people, that they must have had mass cancellations of both the DX19 going back to warehouses. Dead stock costs a lot of money. And so anybody with a smart business mentality who knows collectors will know that we're attracted to limited edition items. There's cases of a figure that's already made. All we have to do is repaint it. If we tell collectors it looks comic inspired, they're going to be all over it. And we also have a whole lot of these bats from the Morbius figure that also didn't sell worth shit. So let's put them together, because that's going to be awesome.
And number
it. And not number
their
it.
own kit bash.
That's right, because that's the other part of it, is that they say that it's 2,500, and this is kind of that tinfoil hat theory. This is just a me thing maybe, but I don't really trust it. If something doesn't have a number on it, then 2,500 is such a big number that even as a good tight-knit community, we could never truly verify that. So it just makes people buy it because it sounds limited. There's no way we'll ever really know. You end up with a figure that you don't truly love in a suit that doesn't make sense for this color scheme. Because if you think about the actual films, which I love the films, you know, think of the Bane line, you know, oh, you thought darkness was your ally, right? It's supposed to be that he's able to exist within darkness and strike fear into the hearts of men. And you'll see this guy coming a mile away in this outfit. It doesn't even make sense for the character, let alone the film type. They could have put this color scheme on any Batman. Anyone except for Bale, and I honestly think it would have looked cool. I was even just looking at my Val Kilmer suit. The cowl on that suit is very similar to the cowl right over here on the left of this picture. Super close. The Batfleck Batman would have looked awesome with a dark blue cowl, a yellow logo, and a gray suit. Like how bulky he is and shit. Any other suit would have looked better in this color scheme. Having said all that, because I'm a Nolan fan and I do like Christian Bale,
Oh boy.
I still understand why certain people wanted to put this in their collection. It's not for me. I would not buy it based on all my previous points. But like, there are some people that are going to get this and still think it's one of the coolest figures in their collection. And like, to them, that is badass. Good for you. Wouldn't be
David's
for me.
getting this. I know
Yeah, there you go. Right? Like, and you know what? Sometimes it's kind of fun to have a standout piece in your collection. It's one of the reasons I really like my Peacemaker. Peacemaker doesn't totally go with my collection. I don't have a Suicide Squad, but every time I come in here, I kind of chuckle that Peacemaker's there. And like, this might be one of those figures that you either kind of chuckle with to know that you're one of few that have it, or you just think it's so ugly it's cool, just like some old cars that exist. So we'll see.
you guys had a lot of great points, and I think you've talked me into getting this. I think I'm interested now. Like,
we're done.
In all honesty, though, the longer you look at it,
the worse it gets.
You can kind of see it, like you can visualize it. I can see it happening. I don't know. We'll see.
People are gonna want this. I have a
feeling.
Sure
Does anybody remember what the actual price was for it, full retail at the time?
No, I didn't even try to pre-order this.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on Toys Buying Agent. Like, it's readily available to get now if you want it.
Oh, sure.
Question though,
2,500. Get it while you can.
Question, because Ben brought that up. So they say it's numbered, but I don't think like Wonder Woman has any numbered on it. Like, it's not one of 15 or anything like that. Yeah. So being that they say there's 1,500 units or 2,500 units or 3,000, does that make you more excited to get it? Or do you have like that same theory that Ben does? Like, if you don't actually number the actual box or the figure itself, it doesn't mean much to me. Where do you guys stand on that? Sneaker, you go.
Oh, it gets me more excited to get something that's limited.
So it doesn't matter that it's not actually numbered specifically.
I would prefer that. I would really prefer if they put the effort, like Artisan. Like, I would love to have Artisan Anakin be an exclusive number, but it's just not going to happen. Does it bother me? it's I'll give it a pass. I don't care about it enough to say like, oh, it's like, yeah, because it's truly, to me, like, I feel like it's going to be a limited figure to some capacity. Is it accurate to the number? It's so hard to say. I don't know how much, like, I don't think they're gonna make, you know, they said limited, what, 2,500 for Anakin. I don't think they're gonna make 5,000 of that, 7,500 of that. You know what I mean? So there's probably some play with that number, but it's so hard to tell. I don't know. It's hard to trust when there isn't a definitive number on it. But like I said, it doesn't really bother me ultimately too much.
How about you, DLO?
I'm kind of with Ben on this here in regards to kind of like the tinfoil part of his comment there. It's one of those things where like you just never can truly verify just how limited, what really limited is to them. What's limited to them may not be considered limited to some of us here. And I just think, you know, kind of to echo what Sneaker was saying a second ago, as far as, you know, numbering is really the next step that we want them to take. I think we've been very clear about, you know, exclusivity is important. Mass production is a very bad thing. It hurts the hobby and it hurts the collector. So to that point here with this here, Hot Toys will never do it though. That's the sad truth about being a Hot Toys collector in this day and age here. It's just like they can say it's limited according to them, according to, you know, what they're telling us publicly speaking, you know, but you know, wouldn't surprise me there's an extra 500 units or extra 1,000 units out there that they sold there. So, you know, you can be sitting on something that you consider limited, and maybe it is limited in comparison to other mass-produced figures that they make. But all in all, it's always going to be a guessing game with that there. Yeah. I think, you know, we want it to be numbered, but no one's ever thought about, well, Hot Toys will reissue something. Anything.
That's true. There's nothing to say they won't in the future.
But then now you put yourself in a situation, because now when you go to numbering and you have a certain series of numbers and then you revisit it, now it's a second edition run, right? And then you have a number for that there. So then,
or they have to fundamentally change something like they do with statues.
Right?
Yeah, you have to change a lot.
This is why it can never work though, because if they do a specific number and they do another run, then they're abiding to having to do the figure exactly that way. That means they cannot upgrade it. They cannot make any changes to improve the figure, because therefore it being first edition or second edition is irrelevant, because the next batch is going to be better than the first batch. So you're still not going to be able to keep the value of that figure high, regardless if you were the first one to get it or the person who gets it on the second run. So that's the real genuine reason why you don't see numbered figures in 1/6, because they're constantly changing them. They're constantly making improvements. They're constantly have upgrades and paint applications. So it's never, ever going to be exactly the same. So unless they decide to do one thing, which is something that we can all agree will never happen, is they will stop making that figure. And they will never, 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 never agree to that. So, you know, you're just going to have to go with the trust me, bro, attitude about this here. It's limited, but, you know, you'll never know for sure.
So I think the thing for me though is that, like, I'm okay with it if Hot Toys never numbers it, because I agree with you, DLO, then they'd never be able to do reissues, and reissues make money for Hot Toys, clearly, right? Like that is a revenue driver. So I don't expect they'll ever give us numbers, but I don't like the process of limited. Like with what we've seen with Artisan and stuff, like having to sit in queue and having to like register for it ahead of time, and then you want it and then you don't get it, and then it's like, it's confusing. People are like, well, are there really that many numbers? Are there not? Like, there's 30,000 people in the queue, and how many of us actually got one? And like, I like it because it drives some excitement in the collector community, but I would rather, I think anyways, see more of like a pre-order style window, where the window is open for a period of time. If you want this figure, it's accessible. We're not numbering them. So if you guys order 70,000 or a million, it doesn't matter. It's open for as long as it's open. Once it's closed, that's it. That still would technically make it limited, because if only a certain amount of people ordered that figure in that time, then there would still be limited amounts of Hot Toys that exist, and I think it would keep the market strong. Because otherwise, like, without a number on it, it just seems like it's sales conditioning, where it's similar to when 280 or 285 used to be a staggering price tag on a Hot Toy. 10 years ago, that would have been like, you're nuts, absolutely nuts. But then we started to see last year that Hot Toys got into that 350 range all of a sudden. and we're all like sweating it, and we're like, we're gonna have to start shrinking our collections. There's no way we can collect whole lines. But then they brought the price point, the standard price point, back to $285, and now all of us say $285. Oh, not too bad. It's actually pretty reasonable. It's sales conditioning.
I hate myself for that too.
And that's what I worry about with the limited nature when it's not technically numbered and stuff like that. It feels more like it's a sales conditioning tactic to make us buy it. It's comic themed, it's limited, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, sometimes I worry that especially newer collectors getting in, they buy it and then they realize they've purchased portions of their collection that they're either having a hard time moving on or they regret. And that would suck because it's not a cheap hobby.
Right.
And for the people, like, I used to stream with a guy named John, like, he never unboxed his figures. His whole goal was to, like, keep them and pass them on to his son, and I thought that was beautiful. And then they started reissuing all these figures, and it was devastating for the person because it was like, now, like, what he felt like was value in his collection was also diminished, and that is heartbreaking. So there's a lot of collectors that may do that without doing the homework, so it's hard.
That's
well said.
Yeah. I think, can I add to that a little bit?
Yeah,
Graham, I was just going to say, another thing is like the market is what has driven them to do all this limited stuff all of a sudden. Like we talked about this in the past of like, they are driving hype in the market because of the condition of the market right now. Like look at how much hype this has brought in. Another thing I want to talk about too, we said like Hot Toys never numbers. The two that they did number were the President Loki. They did that ultra premium pack that they numbered with all the extra accessories. Yeah, with the stickers and like they numbered that. But again, like to your guys' points, you said like, so you can still get the standard version that's not limited, but the premium numbered one, you get a slew of like these additional whatever accessories if you want to say that you care about these things that you're getting. Yeah, like stickers and like these extra things. The only other one, didn't they do a quarter scale? Like, wasn't there like a champagne colored Iron Man that was like 300 in Hong Kong only? That had like, it was a limited number of 300 and it had a serial number attached to the Iron Man. And that was like the only other one. I feel like, I don't know if they've done any other numbered ones.
I think there was two recent quarter scales. I know quarter scales that were numbered as well.
So that's interesting. Like they're doing it for like, they've done it very, very selectively. But like, I think you guys nailed it with saying that like it limits their ability to reissue, because are they going to like go turn around and reissue a champagne colored Iron Man limited edition 300 quarter scale anytime soon? There's so many Iron Man, they can just make a different one that's not exclusive. So like, I think it depends on the character too in that regard. But yeah, it's interesting.
Whew. Great topics, great conversation, a lot to unbox there. But let me just check in with the chat here because they've been going strong. We got Peyton 23 in the house. What's going on, my friend? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Like Ryan said, yeah, they probably have a lot of extra parts or stock of the DX19. So let's try to figure out a way to sell it. We got David in the house. What's going on? I believe he is getting this MD20. The photography work isn't as good as the Mark III photos. Shows how much they value this figure. They seem... I like it that it's clear, and I kind of like the lighting of it because I can really see the figure, and I'm actually excited to see like Justin review this and like see it in someone's hand and whatnot. I don't know, something about it. We'll get to David's comment, but he says basically it's so gaudy that it's almost like attractive. So it's kind of like watching Batman and Robin. Like it's so bad, it's fun to watch. I don't know. We'll see. But Bloody Edge is just twiddling his thumbs, waiting for his feral predator to be announced. I don't know, man.
Seriously, we're getting stuff like this, and we could get something cool like that.
I don't know. John Wick still isn't even officially announced. I don't know. We'll see if we get
coming.
You know,
they're coming.
Indy's
they announced Prey as an IP. Like they're going to do that. They're going to do a Predator figure.
So I saw you can buy Prey on like DVD or like a Blu-ray, but you still can't get it digitally. I don't have a Blu-ray player.
I'm sure you could find a way.
What about your PlayStation? You don't have a PlayStation with one?
Digital only, man. Get with it.
Ooh.
Sorry. I'll be better.
The Collector #1. What's up? Hope everyone's doing great. Thanks for being here, my friend. 16 Fix. Welcome to the party. I don't want to question the paint expert. I believe he's talking to Ben here.
Good
But
at
I
work
do
in painting.
question the concept of repainting dead stock. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it seems like a lot of work.
No,
I'm sure it's just like extra. I don't know.
Also,
Do you wanna say
regardless, they
anything to
have the
this?
mold. They have the mold.
Right.
That's another thing. Is like they can
least
make
that
a
I know.
mold pretty easily for this body. I don't think it's all that. When you have that, the files for that type of stuff, and you have like you can make it again. I would think relatively simply. It can't be that challenging for them. not
It's
like
an
they're
easy money
crafting-
grab.
Yeah, they're not
You know, just
crafting
like the
something
Wonder Woman.
brand new. Regardless, they're not crafting. Even if they don't have to repaint, they're not crafting something brand new, all new sculpted body, all new parts. It's something they have already made multiple.
But then why give us the DX19 then? Why not give us the armory suit that they literally advertised as an upgrade? Like, to me, they were just like, we need to do something with the suit because it's never going to sell. I think otherwise we would see that happen more often because the molds exist for other figures that could technically have different color schemes as well. Like if they wanted to do that, I don't know. Tinfoil hat. I think Marco's wrong. I honestly think they would have done it. Yeah.
Well, the thing that kills this
Fair
figure
enough.
too, now, aside from obviously how I feel about the paint job, is just the fact that, you know, look at what Ben just mentioned here. I mean, we have in 2 years, we've had the DX19, we've had an Armory announcement, now we have this one over here. This is the most overly produced Batman Hot Toys has ever made. There is literally almost a dozen at this point here of this particular figure and this particular body here. So, you know, even if someone can look past the colors and all that, which I'm not a big enough man to do that, but if you are, and you know, you can get with that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be
It
straight about
matches
it.
your
I'm
shirt.
sorry,
It
man.
matches your shirt.
It matches my shirt. I just noticed that too. Like I blend in, I
You
match.
could
with the
review it
figure
in
there.
that shirt, man.
Gosh. Anyways, but aside from that, but if you can get past all of that, right? And let's say someone wants to sell it, because somebody will sell theirs, right? No, there's no 100% hit rate with any figure, and it hits market, it hits out there. You may have been one of 2,500 people who want that figure, and then you put it out to market, and it might sit, or someone might just say, "Oh my God, it's an exclusive," and I'll buy it. You know, maybe they'll be that guy, but I don't know. I feel like what I worry about this figure here is because I always look at it both ways. I look at it how much I love the figure and how much somebody else is going to love the figure if I decide I want to move on from the figure, because you have to, logically you have to.
Right.
And it's not a matter of, you know, how much of a collector you are or how much of that. It's just simple logistics. There's only so much room in a collection, and something eventually has to go, whether you want to or not. And eventually something gets put on the chopping block, and this might be it for somebody. And I question, if someone puts this out there, is there anybody who would really want to scoop this up? And if they do, are they willing to pay what you paid for it?
Let me, that's well said, DLO. Let me get through, catch up with the chat here. We got Gambit, channel member in the house. He personally likes this Batman and it's coming home. You know, and good for you. We're just joking around. Like,
Not me.
it's
He doesn't speak for me.
it's not for DLO, but we're not poo-pooing on anybody that wants to get this. So Jazzy says, I bet Justin would say he loves this figure on his review.
Facts.
He might.
Sorry.
He might. The design of the Batfleck BVS would harken back to Frank Miller Batman from the 80s,
100%.
in my opinion. Yeah, Bale didn't make sense. Yeah, David says it's so gaudy, it's perfection, like the leg lamp in Christmas Story, you know?
There you go.
Yeah, some people,
That's a good way to look
it's
at it.
just so ugly and different, you got to have it, you know?
It's a major award.
Right. Any Hot Toys Batman in this color scheme would have been a grail for me, but Christian Bale was trying to be the most real life, and to throw a comic color scheme on it is so strange. I think
But
that's a
it's-
good word, strange.
But it's
you know?
limited.
Right. Brick thinks the mouth is a little off. Everything else is 100%.
Does he have the swear to me mouth plate?
Swear to me. Yeah, Mike says this is coming home. Coming home. All right. I like weird, random shit. What can I say?
Mike,
Yeah,
you
no,
crazy
that's
guy.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, the longer you look at it, it kind of grows on you a little bit. You know, I think DLO is just saying, let's move on so that I don't buy this thing tonight, you know?
Oh, it's not happening. I'm safe.
The pressure is upon you.
Right. All right. Let's see. Any final thoughts on this before we get to our
I got one more
Overreaction
thing.
Wednesday?
I got one more
We
thing
gotta
to say
we gotta
about
move it
this.
along here.
This is the last thing I would say. So this is also really interesting. We talk about like how much this figure's been reused. And then they're coming out with this Batman with the Armory with a more accurate DX19 locked behind you have to buy the Armory. They're not even releasing it as an individual figure right now. It's
Crazy.
it's crazy they're releasing this and like during a time when that one was already going to be happening with a fully updated, more screen accurate DX19.
Yeah, they advertised it as better and then gave us this.
And then this comes out. I just now thought about that, but it's just like, what's happening?
You imagine if like Hot Toys like did commercials like they used to do back in the 90s. Oh, so you just got a DX19? Well, we came out with an even better one.
There's
Like the
more.
Super
I
Soakers.
still think it's funny. It matches your shirt literally like almost perfectly.
It really does. I didn't realize I put on this shirt when we were going to go over this here. This is really bad for me. I feel that uncomfortable.
That's good.
It's a bad look
It's
for
good.
you, DLO. It's a bad look.
It is.
All right. So, any of us on the panel going to try for this? No. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Congrats to anybody that did get this and is just happy about it. So, it's your collection. You collect what you love and how you like. So that's the great thing about this hobby. Now, the show's just getting going here, so don't go anywhere. We are actually going to be moving into Overreaction Wednesday, which I think over the last couple of weeks that we've been doing this has been like a huge hit. It's really sparked some fun conversations, some discontent maybe between panel members, and just a lot of fun. So let me just pull this up here. So we're going to switch over to Overreaction Wednesday, and we're going to let the guest, Ben himself, go number one.
Right.
And I know you've watched the last couple of weeks, so you're probably familiar with how this is. We're going to give you these topics. Kind of took this from Shane and Marco, but then you're going to get the statement, and you're going to tell us if it's an overreaction or not, and why. So I'm going to go through here. The first topic is burn, baby, burn. I want it. You complete me. How dare you? And I smell fear.
Heath Ledger, you complete me.
You complete me. All right, so that is, let's see, third from the bottom here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Completing lines is a waste of money. Is that an overreaction or not?
I think is it an overreaction or not? I don't know. That's a interesting way to phrase it. Completing lines is a waste of money. I don't think completing a line is a waste of money, so I don't think it's an overreaction necessarily. I would say
So it is an overreaction.
So it is an overreaction.
Yes.
Apologies. Yes. Because I think for the folks who collect full lines, they often have a justification in their mind's eye for why they want the full line. It either has something to do with nostalgia, it has something to do with their childhood, it has something to do with figures they used to collect, or whatever it is. If they are committed to that franchise, whatever they're collecting from, whether it be Batman or Star Wars or whatever, if collecting the full line gives you happiness within the collecting hobby, I think that's definitely not an overreaction. Or that sentence is an overreaction.
I got to think of a different way to
phrase
phrase this. We've gotten stumped on this a couple times. So
Yeah. But no, I think for me, I wouldn't collect full lines though, because I typically like to cherry pick from my favorite.
There you go.
So to me, it would be a waste of money because I'd end up with figures that I don't need.
I agree. I think this is an overreaction. I think it all goes to the mindset of why you're going to complete a line. If you're just doing it because you like Mandalorian or give me something else, Endgame, you're collecting everything because you love the movie, but you don't necessarily love all the figures, then I think it is a waste of money because you should really be collecting what you love. So that's my stance on it. DLO, how about you? Really quick.
Gosh, I don't even know how to really answer this one here because I kind of feel like it is and it isn't in the same weird kind of way. Just because, to Ben's point, like there's a person like who collects a full line and it's a full justification to it there. And yeah, I agree with that. I think that makes sense there because there is that collector that's just like has an idea and a vision for their collection and that's what they want to do. But then there's the collector who may see it possibly as a waste of money because if you're collecting a line, then that means you have to be specific to that particular version of that character, and that may not necessarily be your most preferred version of it. And I think you kind of brought up a good one that'd be great for comparison. You have Infinity War / Endgame, right? That kind of call it part 1, part 2 of that Infinity Saga ending there, right? There were some figures that I think were really well done in Infinity War that looked worse in Endgame, and vice versa. Like, example, I think Scarlet Witch, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow in Infinity War, she had the blonde hair, not ideal. In Endgame, she looked better. Reverse, the flip here, you had Fat Thor, and then you had Infinity War Thor, which I thought looked much better. So, like, using those is like a very like clear example. Like, in that situation here, I think that like neither one is wrong in that regard there. So I can't say it's an over or under reaction. I just think that you just got to focus on what your vision is going to be and stick to that there. And if you want a specific one, I don't think it's going to look bad if you mix it with another line. So I don't know. What would you call that? Is that an under or overreaction?
I don't know. I'm even more confused now.
Now we're doing underreactions.
It's just a reaction.
It's a state of mind.
Ben, see what happens is D-Lo agrees with you, and then he'll yell at you.
That's fair.
I'm not done with you yet.
Oh yeah.
Overreaction. It's not a waste of money. If you want to collect a line and complete a line, that's what you want to do for your collection, and go for it. It's definitely not. If you don't consider it a waste of money as a collector, then it's not a waste of money.
Right.
That's what I'll say. I'll keep it short and sweet because D-Lo took up 90% of my time once again.
Unless you regret it a little bit down the road, you know, obviously.
Unless you regret it down, like,
who knows?
I feel like I should say with the caveat of it could become a waste of money if you just get caught up in like, oh, I need to get every figure from that line,
Right.
and you don't truly care about some of them. You know, that's what I would say.
All right, that was a good intro in. I think that got us started. You know, hopefully some of these are a little bit tougher here. I got to remember which ones I all did. So, which one of you wants to duke it out for the next spot? Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
You go, Steve.
How dare you?
So
You already know.
you want to do how
That's
dare
I
you?
love- yeah,
You
I
just
love
do that
saying
one right away.
Gotta do it.
All right, that is.
It's like one of my favorite things to say.
It is. Selling figures means you never really wanted it in the first place.
Ooh. This is tough because there's circumstances where, you know, it could be an overreaction, but it cannot be an over. I will say selling figures means you never really want it in the first place. I would say overall it's an overreaction, especially because there's usually, especially when there's re-releases of the same figure. In that case, you know, oh, maybe you want the better version. Also, maybe you get a version of a figure that you really like that character and it's a look that you like. Like say, you know, you have a Luke Skywalker and they come out with another variation of the character and that's your iconic version of it. You get rid of the Luke that you initially bought, but you wanted a Luke in your collection. I wouldn't say that you never wanted it because you truly wanted a Luke in your collection, but maybe you wanted to get rid of it and not because you can only have one, or you really just want that iconic version that you're waiting for a character. So I would say in that case, I don't think like, I feel like, I don't know, me personally, I've never really like bought a figure that I didn't want. Like that's just an interesting thought in and of itself of like, to buy it and be like, I don't really want this. I'm just buying it anyways. It's just like for this.
Well, maybe, yeah, I guess it's more of like, I don't know, like maybe you thought you wanted it, but if you're selling it, you really didn't want it. Like,
oh no, yeah, I would still say overreaction.
You know, like
I feel like if you're buying it for the most part, like at least for me, I'll speak for myself. If I'm buying it, it's because I want it. So I guess yeah, and also I don't really sell a lot of stuff. I don't really sell a lot of figures either. So yeah, I'll go with this is an overreaction on this one. This is an interesting one though.
Ben, do you sell figures? Do you pretty much keep everything that you buy? What's your take on selling figures? And is this an overreaction?
Yeah, this is an overreaction. I don't sell a lot of figures, mostly because I have terrible anxiety when it comes to random people buying anything from me, especially in person. I always think I'm going to get robbed. So that's A.
And raped.
But well, you never know. Right? We're nice over here, Kat. But
Real
but
friendly around here.
But I have sold figures because what I thought they would be for me in my collection didn't work out. So the example I go to for me is the video game series Batman Beyond. I'm a huge Batman fan. Obviously, you guys can probably tell. Like, I love Batman. He's my guy. And I love that video game. Easily some of my favorite video game series of all time. The Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. Like, love them. But I got that figure in my collection, and I put him in the cabinet beside my Christian Bale Batman, the DX12. So not quite the scaled up DX19 size, the smaller version. But my Christian Bale came up to Batman Beyond's nipples. Like, the scale was so off that it looked like it didn't fit in the line. So initially I saw those pictures. I was like, I have to have that suit. It's one of my favorite suits to play in the game. Got it in the collection. Couldn't make it fit. I didn't like the scale of it. Just threw me off. Most of my figures are kind of the movie realistic representations of the characters. So that taught me right there that like video game line might not be what I want to collect, despite it being cool in other folks' collections. But again, also just the anxiety of selling. I don't like it. I want to try and give people a good deal, even if I could technically make money. So that gives me some anxiety. When EvilSneaker was talking, I think last week, about how he sold his previous collection to fund his now current collection, like, I've tried to sell smaller scale stuff, and I've had a horrible time with that. So that must have been just a painstaking process. Yeah. So now that you've got your 6 scale and you're loving it, I can see why you're like, yeah, I don't really intend to do that again. So, but it's an overreaction, because I do think there's lots of times that we see a character, we've loved the character, we have some level of connection to the character, we feel like, you know what, heck with it, I'm just gonna get it. I want to feel it in hand. I want to see if it jives with me. And if it doesn't, like, you can move that on and somebody else gets a win for the day, right? You can still put those funds towards something else. It's still a win for everybody in that sense. So
yeah. All right, DLO, how about you?
Yeah, same. I agree with everybody. I think it's an overreaction too. I think, in this hobby, mistakes are going to be made, not intentionally. I'm sure with the best intentions, things were purchased in most cases here. I don't think that really only applies to this question here. If it's a matter if we're talking FOMO. If it's a FOMO scenario, I think that's where you kind of straddle the line between, I like it, love it, got to have it, like I always say. And I just think it's just really more one of those scenarios. If we're talking specifically FOMO, then maybe this wouldn't be an overreaction. But for everybody else, I mean, we buy with the idea that this is going to look great in the collection. And sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And it's no fault of anybody's. And it's just a matter of, okay, well, I gave it a shot. I got to move it on because it's just not working. It's, so I agree with her. I think it's just an overreaction, this one.
I think it's an overreaction too. And you guys know me, I probably sell the most out of all 4 of us here. And I've definitely cut down in the past year on how much I sell, because I have found that I've actually regretted, some of the sales that I've made. And I've always been a true believer in, like, because when I got into the hobby, it was a lot easier, but like, use your collection to fund your collection. And I think I've learned more so kind of coming into my own that's like upgrades. So like probably going to be selling my Justice League Superman to get the in-art one. Or like when Sneaker said a new Luke comes out, maybe the old Return of the Jedi can go, because we always want the best looking one in the collection at that point. I'm not too, like, I can kind of cut myself off from a figure if I need to, but then I guess maybe I can't, because then I regret selling it. So I don't know, I'm talking in circles here. But at the same time, I can kind of cut myself off when the better version comes out. I haven't missed any old versions that I've sold because I've had the better one. So that's kind of there. But sometimes I've made a mistake too, where, like DLO said, I thought it was going to look great, or I thought I would love it, but it turns out I just wasn't feeling it when it was in the collection. It just didn't work. And maybe that's a mistake on my part. But I definitely don't think, if you're selling figures that you never really wanted in the first place. I think sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes our feelings change. Sometimes we do want the newest thing, and maybe we make a move without thinking it through all the way. So not an overreaction in my thought. Really quickly here, going back to the collecting lines, Mike Larissa says collecting lines can be part of the fun of collecting. It can anchor your collection. However, an anchor can hold you in place or drag you under. That's a great analogy. You have to know what you're getting into. 6-Scale Mafia in the house. What's going on, my friend? Complete lines is great if you really love the IP, but be prepared to miss out on a lot of other things. That's a great point too. So like, if I come back to,
That's me.
I come back to
That's basically me.
Mandalorian because like for me, I really like Mando, but I love the main characters. I don't want to get IG-11 or the Troopers, and if I did do that, it would hold me back from getting all this other good stuff that's coming out in these other IPs. So, but some people just love it and they love every character, and that's perfectly fine too. So it all just depends on what you wanna collect. This is a great point too. Jazzy says, I sell because I'm running out of space. That too, like there are some figures that I don't mind having multiples of. Luke now, Vader, Batman, of course. But for some of these other ones, yeah, space is always an issue. So sometimes we have to move out some things to make room for the new stuff. I've sold 100 plus figures over the years. Tastes change, collections evolve, no shame. Yeah, I remember when Mafia was getting out of, I think it was like everything Star Wars other than the OT, or maybe it was Marvel. He was getting out of Marvel, something like that. And I agree, you know, like we're built on emotions and we kind of go hot and cold on things. Like I'm kind of cooling on Marvel. Doesn't mean I want to get out entirely, but it also doesn't mean I want to collect it at this point in time. But they could rekindle that fire down the road, and then I'll go to that, and then Star Wars will take a back seat. So, you know, all that stuff definitely comes into play. So
just say that part of like the longer you do this and the more you sell, and eventually how your collection looks here, evolving is actually one of the most fun parts. Like once you get past that honeymoon stage of just like the excitement of every figure that you're adding on to an empty space of your DTOF or whatever you have there, then eventually you're at that point where you need to start making changes in order to continue to collect. You know, that can be really stressful because obviously selling is stressful, like kind of Ben mentions there. But at the same time, once you start to see the changes in your collection and kind of seeing it kind of like a picture from afar that's kind of closer in focus for you there, it's really fun. Like it's almost like you almost get like a second wind out of it there, you know, so to speak, when you're collecting, because it's just like it's almost like you're starting over, but not necessarily all the way, but just tweaking enough to where, wow, you can really start appreciating some of the differences and how some of your other figures that stuck around look now that the collection has a different kind of style to it, if that makes sense. So, you know, just nothing wrong with that too. So I just wanted to add that real fast.
The other thing I don't think we talk about enough in the community is we're not all on the same budget. So we're all in different stages of life. We all have different jobs, or we all have different budgets for Hot Toys. So like for me, I love the hobby so much, and there's so much that I want, but at this point in my life, I can't get everything. So like that's again why using my collection to fund my collection was so important to me. I got 2 kids in school, and private school and daycare, you know, got a mortgage, you know, all this and that. So like sometimes I feel like if I really want something maybe has to go. And as much as I don't like that sometimes it is what it is. So is there anything I can part with? And sometimes the answer is no. So, you know, it's just something that me as a collector, I have to analyze when I'm looking at my collection at some points. But next year, I will say I'm getting a lot of relief because both kids will be in school. So it'll be a lot cheaper, and I'll say bye-bye to daycare. I now know why parents throw parties when their kids are out of daycare. So
no doubt.
I'll be one of those parents that does that. All right. Let's see. DLO, you are next.
What do you got for me?
We got Burn Baby Burn. I want it. I smell fear.
Ooh. Let's go with that one.
I smell fear. I knew you would take that. I know you. I knew you.
I collect with no fear. You know this about me, so
I collect with no fear.
Day 1 pre-orders are back to being a necessity.
Oh, that's disappointing.
The guy that doesn't pre-order.
Can I roll again, or is that all right?
Yeah, just make it quick.
Overreaction. It's an overreaction. I've made my stance on this. If you've seen the show before, you know how I feel about pre-ordering. I'm not the pre-order one of the group. I still strongly believe that there's opportunities out there to still find these figures, and darn unfortunately, I hate to say this, but even below cost sometimes. So yeah, like for me, I'm gonna keep saying no. I'm gonna say it's an overreaction until Hot Toys finally gets me and finally makes me miss on a figure that I want. And they have not tried very hard to make me miss. So, still, shooting at 100% over here. So it's a overreaction until proven otherwise.
How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I would say 99% of me says overreaction as well, for virtually the same reason, like we talked about earlier, my tinfoil hat theories. I think pre-order hype like this is back to being sales conditioning, just like the price point, like we talked about earlier. And like, what's the way to make collectors feel like they better pre-order again is to tell them that we don't have as many. So if you want it, you better order it. The only flip side to that statement is that I still think if there is one character that comes out that you are like, I have to have it, like if I missed it, like I would take my whole collection out of this room for this one figure. If you have a character like that, then I still would pre-order it, because I wouldn't want to get burned on it. But I think for every figure, no, there's still lots of kind of evidence out there that like DLO said, that you can either get it somewhere else, or honestly, I think of the 6 wait lists that I was on, 5 of them ended up converting for me. Only 1 didn't. And so it's like, and even that one, what's that?
I said, you're on fire. Play the lotto. There's no way. Best luck. Amazing.
Right. So it's like, to me, I still don't have the true evidence that it's not just sales conditioning. And again, where they can say it's limited all they want, but we'll never be able to truly verify it. So just be cautious. Don't just fall into the FOMO. Get it because you actually need it for your collection or want it. Pre-order the ones that you can't afford to miss, and roll the dice on the ones that you can, because you might see a pop culture discount or something like that at some point that ends up saving you a little money too.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but Ben has really got me thinking this episode here. He's really getting in my head, and yeah, I might make a tinfoil hat after this, so we'll see.
Tinfoil hat stickers going out next month.
Right. Sneaker, before you go, just want to read this one. Mike says, day one pre-ordering isn't necessary, but day 180 seems to be these days. If you're a sideshow customer, at least. Interesting. Is this an overreaction? And what do you think about that comment as well?
Yeah, this is an overreaction. Everything pretty much is readily available in the market, whether or not it goes waitlist on. Everyone talks about waitlist on Sideshow, but there's so many figures like that are waitlisted on Sideshow right now that you can get everywhere else. We talk about it all the time, so you don't really have to pre-order. I do agree with what Ben said. If it's a character you absolutely have to have, like I have a fair amount of pre-orders, and it's because I'm going to get that figure no matter what. And also, like sometimes it's like the longer you wait, I feel like the longer it takes for you to get it, especially if a lot of people ordered before you. So I don't really, if it's a figure that I know I really want, I'd rather get the pre-order in so that I get it a little bit sooner rather than having to wait for something that I'm already waiting for so long. Like that's the only caveat I'd say to this, but that's not a necessity. That's not a necessity in my mind. So you can wait. There's stuff that there's stuff that comes into stock that if you didn't pre-order it, sometimes you can get it relatively quickly depending on where you get it from. So yeah, not in this market unless it's something that's limited, which is exactly what Hot Toys wants you to do. They want you to pre-order it when it's limited so they can sell more figures, right? Because the market is so down right now. So yeah, overreaction.
And I think for the majority of the collectors out there, we're all pretty smart adults with our money and everything like that. So obviously you do you, but I think you also got to keep in mind, like, POing can be really dangerous for the wallet all of a sudden. Like, it's easy to collect pre-orders at $35 a pop, but then suddenly you start adding up your figures. Last year I did that. It was like $5,000 or something in figures, and I was like, okay, that's way too many. I have to cut it back. Like, I can't justify that right now. If everyone came available right now and I had to pay the final invoice, I'd have to lose. And so that's not a good feeling either, because then you're also burning your NRD money potentially. The only thing that I do find it to be a benefit about POing is if, again, like it's a figure you absolutely want and love and need, then some of those longer term payment plans have helped me in the past as well. Make it feel like by the time it gets here, it's already paid off. And that is a good feeling, despite me not loving them holding my money either. So it's a mixed bag. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Yeah.
What would you guys say, though, to somebody that only shops at Sideshow? Do you think then day one pre-orders are a necessity more than they were a year or two ago? Like there's some people that just shop at Sideshow.
If you only shop there, then history right now for actually no, I was gonna say yes, but at the same time, like everything's converting on waitlist. Besides like for the most part, everything is converting. For the most part, like the majority of stuff is converting on waitlist. There are some that haven't. There are some, but you're going to miss if Sideshow is your only option on some things. But those ones that you miss on are readily available elsewhere. So go shop elsewhere. That's what
if it's Sideshow only, there's no point. You might as well, I guess, is what I would say to that there. Because like if that is the only way you're willing to shop, and Sideshow is saying that theirs is going to be sold out, then there's absolutely no reason not to pre-order if that's your only way of how you get your figures here. But yeah, for everybody else, it wouldn't. I don't think it would make a difference.
Sure. All right. Very well. We are back. We got 2 more, and we're back to Ben on this one, so he gets to go twice. So we have Burn Baby Burn, and I Want It.
I Want It.
All right. I think this one will be a good one. Figures are more desirable if they are more expensive / in that high value.
Overreaction.
So like, do you value your figures that are worth like $500-$600? Do you value those more than maybe something that came out that you like, but like I'm trying to have a good example here, something that's cheap but cool, like a Luke, Mando Luke, or is something, do you find that in the back of your head that you do kind of gravitate towards that because of the value?
No, surprisingly not. I thought that I would have. I feel like this for me is an overreaction statement. I thought I would have when I got that 2-pack in-art Joker. That Canadian with the conversion and the shipping cost me like $1,500, I think, when it was all said and done. It's by far the most expensive collectible that's in this room right now. And then I get, even just RoboCop yesterday, seeing him in my display lighting, being all different, like shiny and weird, like it's sorry to rub it in. It's just so beautiful. It's like, man, like that still draws my eye. Like I don't look at the Jokers and go, I like it more because it cost more. I think there's a lot of figures out there where they've captured lighting in a bottle. And the sculpt is beautiful. It's an amazing release. You get all the accessories that you could ask for, and it's still $280 to $320, somewhere in that range. I think of that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man coming. I've always wanted a Tobey in my collection, and clearly his licensing fee is expensive because that thing is like what in the $420 range or $460. So it's an insane amount. It's over $500 Canadian by the time I get it through the door. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like that Spider-Man necessarily any more than the symbiote Spider-Man that I got coming a couple months later, just because of the price point. So yeah, I think it has more to do with the character, and what it offers. And I don't think price has to matter. I've had figures from third-party companies that I've liked almost just as much as Hot Toys. My Data from Exo 6 gets a lot of hate, but I'm a Star Trek collector. I love that figure, and it was the lowest cost figure I think I have in the room at this point. So,
all right. He says this is an overreaction. DLO, what say you?
Agreed. I think it's an overreaction too. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't think like this back in the day, like when I was doing this here. There was a lot of figures that, at the time were worth quite a lot, and I was very proud to have those in my collection, and I still am, despite the fact that they're not worth what they were before. But once I got to the point where, it was clear to me at that stage that like Hot Toys figures are not going to have the same kind of value that they once did when I first started. It was very liberating. At that point, I stopped caring about how much one figure cost compared to another. And it became more about the figure I was picking and the figure I was choosing for my space. It went from monetary value to valuing my space. If I can just kind of clarify what I mean by that. It's just like, if you're in my display, then I enjoy it. Whether you're worth $100 right now on a BSC group, or you're worth $1,000 on eBay, it doesn't matter. As long as it's good for the space, and you're taking up space in my collection, then in my opinion, you're a good figure. So I like thinking like that now. It's nice. It's not like I don't feel like I'm playing the stock market like I first did when I started the hobby there, where like, oh man, I have this, it's a grail, I can get so much money for it. It's not worth it anymore, and that's okay. I like the figure, and that's all that matters now. So I used to think like that, but now I don't, and I think that's the way it should be. So I'm going to call it an overreaction.
I also found the 6-scale hobby long before I knew there was any collector communities for it. So like for me, a $300 figure was the most premium Batman in any collection of any friend that I had at that time. Like that was the guy. Like, so
Right.
even still, like that would have been to me amazing. But it wasn't until I found the collector community and started seeing that there was an actual market and opinions and grails and all of these things that did start to matter more for a period of time before I changed that
that's a great point.
process.
Sneaker, you're smirking over there.
I'm going to go the opposite on this one, and I'm going to say this is not an overreaction. We talked about this. We've talked about this in the past, and DLO, you were actually talking to Brick about this last week when you were saying, like, so say you got this figure day one, and then, you know, down the road, somebody else gets this, and they get it for a steal. They get it for a really good deal. How does that make you feel about the figure that you got at full price? That can make you feel bad when you paid a full price for something that's a premium price, somebody else gets it for a deal, and you're like, man, that sucks. So that to me would be a scenario where I would say that figure is more desirable if it's maintaining its value or it's a higher value in that case. Like I feel like for me as a collector, if I have something that's like more of an exclusive piece, limited, might be a little bit more expensive, it's holding its value or it's worth more. I feel like maybe some people don't want to admit this, but when something is worth more than what you paid for it, it is more desirable in general to have that in your collection to me. You know, it's not as desirable to have a figure that you paid, like maybe that figure itself, like you love having it, but it's not as desirable if that figure lost half of its value versus if it's a full on value, or more than what you ended up paying for it. And I think too, like this is like a marketing strategy too of making something feel premium by making it cost more, that I think people like. This could also be the other side of like falling into a trap of things are desirable when they're more expensive because they're more premium, if you will. So you got to be careful there. But yeah, I say like, I think more so that's like kind of where my gut feeling goes with this, is that it's more desirable if something is a higher value when you have it in your collection versus something that is lower value, just generally speaking. I mean, everybody has stuff that's probably, we all have our favorite things that weren't all that expensive that like you would never give up. But I think like you desire stuff that's high value, that is expensive, something that like will hold its value over time. I think like that's something that is kind of exciting in the hobby. So I'm going that route because I don't want to agree with you guys. So I want to give a different take, and that's what I'm going to say about that one.
Let me add to this. And you listen, you're not wrong.
I gotta stir the pot. I gotta stir the pot a little bit.
I like it.
Listen,
Finally.
I agree with you there because you're at a different stage of your collecting. You're a lot fresher to it there. Everything else is like more exciting.
I knew DLO was gonna say that.
But it's the facts, man. It's the facts. Because I mean, you're basically me when I started. So like it's like I'm talking to you with better hair. You know, that's what it is. Like look in the mirror. But all the same, it's just like, you know, like that stuff is fun. That stuff is fun, and yeah, it gives you a quick high because man, I got this, and the other guy doesn't got this, or I got this, and I can't believe I was lucky enough to get this, and that's all good and well. But you haven't been hit yet, bro. You haven't been hit with a 2.0. You haven't been hit with a reissue. You haven't been hit with someone going out there and saying, you know what, we're gonna make the rooted artisan Anakin, and then your Anakin ain't worth shit. Like you haven't gone through those phases yet. So what I'm saying,
right? So what I'm saying though is, at that heartbreak, you're saying if a 2.0 comes out, that figure drops in value. So does that make that figure less desirable? Is that what you're saying? Because a 2.0 is now out and it's a higher value, more expensive, better figure.
It would be to you because now your fixation on the higher value has been rewarded with temporary satisfaction. And now you don't like it as much because, to your point, now it's not as valuable as it was a second ago. So therefore, by your explanation here, that means that figure is not desirable anymore. And that's exactly what collectors go through every single time.
Oh, this is I was gonna say this is a very common thing, and this happens whenever a 2.0 comes out for people. You know, like people want the update.
100%.
People don't want people don't want like the 1.0 of something, right? They want to get the updated version.
That's the thing. I used to hate it every time. You know, I can go through, look through a bunch of these right now, and I can tell you there's a new one on the way or teased at some point there, and it's there. It's going to happen. So, you know, you can be proactive and sell it to get ahead of the game. You know, there's a lot of people selling their Hot Toy Supermans right now. Like, it's no coincidence they weren't listed now they start Christopher Reeve, excuse me, his is going up there nonstop because they showed the promo, a demo version of it there. So you can go that route, or you can sit on it, and you can sit on it, and then you can just be content. And that's the tough part, to be content as a collector.
Sit on it, pal.
Because you're chasing the never ending, always losing cycle of there will be a replacement for your figure that is valuable now. And again, I was like that too. And it used to piss me off. I used to get angry, you know, post a comment on somebody's social media group about their figure. I was that guy too. But then I got to the point where I realized it's going to happen no matter what. So if I'm going to be in the hobby and I'm going to continue to collect in the hobby, still spend money in this hobby, knowing this in advance now, knowing this through experience of constantly paying overpricing for figures, and now those figures don't retain their value well, then I got to be very clear about now my position is I'm looking for best deal possible. I'm trying to find a way to subsidize my possible losses if I do decide to sell the figure. I'm looking at all those angles there. So at the end of the day, I want the figure because it makes me happy, and that's it now. And it fits, and I have enough space to put it in there. But anything chasing a value anymore, I know it's temporary. Like, I know it's inevitable.
It's like
everything that was sacred is gone now. It's not going to be like that moving forward, and you've got to be okay with that. And whether it's limited now, that is limited today. 2 years from now, we can be sitting on a DX19 repaint of your favorite Anakin. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. You know,
blue-haired Anakin.
He's got, you know, he's blue and gray. But hey,
right.
You know, that
could always happen.
Everybody's gonna forget how mad I was about that, and they're all gonna be mad about that one there. So that's my point.
Still with Morbius bats.
Yeah, that can always happen.
Right.
I will say that all that stuff can always happen. There can always be a potential for a re-release. We know that, but for me personally, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that. Like, that doesn't bother me too much. And like, I could just get rid of the 1.0 figure and get the 2.0 too, even though you might lose a little bit of money. Like, depending on how far they're spaced out. Like, if you want the figure and it's a good enough 2.0, like, you can for me, I could justify probably doing that. Does it suck? Yes, but ultimately for me, that 2.0 automatically is going to be more desirable for me. It just is, because it's going to be like, Graham, you've asked me a few times, like, hey, do you have interest in this, like Bane, like 1.0 Bane? I have no interest in getting that because the 2.0 is coming, right? Or like the updated version is coming. So it's just like,
Rocky Mike, I can't take credit for
that. But the 1.0 is a good figure still.
The 1.0 is right. The 1.0 is a good figure, but
what's
more desirable to me? Not the 1.0. I'd rather have the updated version. The 1.0, I'm not knocking any 1.0 figure. And also, I would say there's other 1.0 figures, like, there inevitably a Darkseid Anakin is going to come out. A 2.0 is going to come out. I probably will not get rid of my 1.0. Like, my original Darkseid Anakin, I probably will never get rid of that figure. I will want to have that. I'm not going to want to get rid of it. D-Lo shaking his head and saying no.
You're full of shit.
I'm going to keep that figure. Mark my words.
Somebody book
it. All being recorded, boys. It's all being recorded.
Because here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You haven't had that moment yet. You're saying it. Yeah, we all said it, dude. Hell no.
I'd like to
I'm not
jump
getting rid of that figure.
I'd like to jump in. Being somebody that has had the moment, I still think this is not an overreaction. And I say that, and it is kind of like stocks, because these figures can go up and they can go down and they can die and all that stuff. But something about having one of your figures and you have it and then the value goes up, or it's worth more. To me, it doesn't make me want to like sell it or keep it. It doesn't hinge on that, but it does make it more desirable to me. Like, it's a cool feeling to be like, yeah, that's kind of sought after right now, and it's worth this amount of money. I do know that could change at any moment, but it's like stocks. Like I said, that could change. It's like fantasy football. You have a Justin Jefferson who's worth the whole world, and then he goes down with injury and could be out for the rest of the year or whatnot. They're not saying that, but it's a possibility. And then the stock falls, right? And you knew that. And you could have sold high, but at the same time, you were happy with having that player, having that figure, and you knew at any moment it could change. I had the Nightmare Batman at peak price, and it was $600 figure, and that's what I paid. And months later, the 2.0 was announced, and it was a kick to the gut, but at the same time, I still love that figure. It's not like I'm just going to sell it or anything. And I got the newer one. So we keep moving forward, and things change. But at the same time, there is something like a little special to it, where you just know, like, it's just it is more desirable to me, knowing like it's worth more. I don't know.
I think there's just like a bit of a division in the question for me too, though, because like I know that your high value question here is related to expense, not necessarily value internally, but like it depends on the character. So like I looked at the DX11 Joker for 10 years, because for 10 years I was like, there's absolutely no way I could ever afford that Joker, and it kept going up and up and up in price. I finally got it 2 years ago for $1,000 Canadian, and then about 3 months later, the in-art pictures popped up. And while I was like, shit, now that figure is like half the cost if I want to sell. I can't even give it away for $500 now. People want like the chair more than the figure. It's like, that was a representation of, I was okay with that because the value of having that character in my collection meant more to me to get it at that time than knowing that I would still end up spending the money again to rebuy it. So now I have 3 Jokers in my collection. But I think the mistake sometimes, at least new collectors get into, is they listen to streamers, they listen to, quote unquote influencers. And we talked a lot about what perceived grails are. And while I agree that Hot Toys can be somewhat compared to something like stock market, I think that's still a bit of a dangerous comparison, because I don't think that that's the reason you should collect, at least for me. If you collect because you're hoping to make money from it, you might get devastated by that, especially with how volatile the figure economy is. And I think you can be really disappointed with your collection room if you bring somebody into your collection room. You asked me about that earlier, DLO, bringing a girl in, right?
Oh yeah.
I think if she judged, if she judged me for it, it is worth keeping, 100%. If she had judged me for it, though, like, everything in this room represents my personality. Every character, every figure, it rather represents a nostalgic memory, whatever. If I had a room full of perceivably expensive, high-value collectibles that I had no connection with, then to me, it loses the value. Damn, so then if it's only focused on the dollar and you lose the dollar, this is not a fun hobby to be in. Right. You have to collect what's got the highest value to you inside. And then if it makes some money, heck yeah. I mean, everybody likes having a collection that's worth something. Yeah.
Sure.
That's a bonus, cherry on the top.
Yeah.
But that should not be the reason you collect. And I think new collectors are like, look at all the grails I just bought. And then they watch the market get devastated and they lose all this money. And they're like, but you people told me this was a grail. And it's only because it was a grail to somebody, not necessarily to you. So,
good point.
Yeah, really well said. And exactly what Ben said. Like, don't be, it's your fool's gold if you're collecting for what the value is at that moment, because I'm using stocks as a reference that it could just plummet or things rise and fall. But don't collect to resell, because it doesn't always work out. So we got one more, but I think I'm gonna let that one sit for next week, because I do want to quickly get into the Hot Toys versus, and then we'll end. So the fun game of Hot Toys versus is when we pin 2 figures against each other, and you guys can choose to keep one in the collection. One has to leave, and it could be for nostalgia reasons. It could be the figure looks better. It could be the character is just more liked in your opinion. Could be for whatever reason. But it's a fun game, and we really haven't played it for a while, DLO. I think Sneakers maybe played it once.
Maybe.
Ben obviously hasn't played it. So we used to do this a lot in the past, but it gets hard to pick figures to pin against each other. So we're going to bring it up right now. And here's our first one to go with. So I understand some of these aren't out yet, but we're just going off of the prototype or whatnot. So
This is a tough one, man.
So Sneaker is the Star Wars guy here. He is the the solid Star Wars collector. So I'm going to start with him first on this one. You guys in the chat, let me know which one you would keep in your collection. Which one would you say bye-bye to? Sneaker, I'm going to go with you first.
This is like, yeah,
it's hypothetical, so don't worry.
But it's ultimately like, yeah, one versus like 100%.
Yeah, only one can
only
be in your
have
collection.
one, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so like this one's tough because I have Fennec, and then like she's such a real, like just such a great figure. I would have to go with, yeah, I would have to probably go with Sabine because she's just more of an iconic character within Star Wars. But Fennec is such a great character, you know what I mean? Like such a great figure too. But yeah, Sabine is more of an iconic like Rebels character. I would say as a character, she's more important to me overall from, you know, what I, you know, from watching Star Wars. There's a lot more content involving her. She's more of a lot more of a main character than Fennec. So I would say I would go with Sabine. Oh, she's not even out yet.
But, that's great.
Yeah.
How about you, DLO?
Well, having owned Fennec now, I'd have to give the edge to Fennec on this one here. But also, I would say for the same reason, Sneaker, why for Fennec? I have more an attachment to her because I've seen more of her work in Star Wars than I have with Sabine. And so I don't think that's anyone in particular is wrong, but I echo what Steve says. I mean, as far as Sneaker says here, as far as that's concerned, just I have more of an attachment to Fennec now because I have more time with her. And she's a great figure. And I'm sure Sabine's going to be a great figure too when she comes out. But yeah, as of right now, like I like Fennec more. So I'd pick her.
What about you, Ben?
I've been watching Rebels recently, especially in trying to get caught up to really, you know, connect with Ahsoka more. I would say the win goes to Fennec for me, though. Honestly, like I thought was the best part of Book of Boba Fett. She was an absolute badass. Even at the end of that show, when you think he's coming in to kind of mess those dudes up, and then she drops down from the ceiling, and it's like it was the Fennec Shan show, not the Boba Fett, you know, the Boba Fett show. So I think honestly the likeness to the actress is insane, and she's so also good. An iconic just actress in general, not even just within Star Wars. So I think she's a good one to have. That may change for me the more we get to see Sabine, but at this point, I think Rebels liked Sabine more. So Fennec is this. Fennec is this.
I am with you. We're gonna put Steve on an island here. I'm gonna go with Fennec, and it's because same thing you guys said. I have more of a connection with her. I've seen more of her character, and I thought she was great in Book of Boba Fett, but she's also really good in Mandalorian too. So like I really do love the Mandalorian. So I almost have more of a connection with that. And then obviously she was badass in Book of Boba. The figure looks great. She will be coming home eventually. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. So let's see what you guys say here in the chat. So Collector Joey says he'd be with Sneaker on this one. Sabine. Eddie says Fennec all day. Mike, of course, would say Sabine because he's got a huge crush on her. Mad Planet Sabine. Yeah, so you guys are kind of more on the Sabine side, but the panel is on Fennec's side. All right, let's move on to DC here. Little DC love. Tough. I thought this would be easier, but actually, the more I look at it, it is tougher for me because I feel like I'm more of a fan of the Dark Knight trilogy, but the Supergirl looks really, really nice. So I haven't really made up my mind on some of these yet, so I'm going to hear you guys out. And we're going to start at the bottom, go up. So we're going to start with Ben on this one. We have Supergirl on the left, and then this is the new Catwoman that's been delayed a few times. So she's not quite out yet, but walk us through this.
For me, it would be Supergirl. I thought she was a standout character in The Flash. Even though I didn't love The Flash, I didn't hate it either by any stretch. I thought she was one of the best parts. Very intense actress, for sure. I think if I was going to get the Catwoman, I would have got her already. I've got the majority of the Dark Knight line literally right behind me right now. I chose to pass on her before, mostly because of the peeling issues with her outfit. And I don't think that they improved that aspect of this figure. I think it's going to still peel just like the old one. So I'd rather go with the new and the new character and something that represents something different in the collection.
Very well said. You brought up some points that I was kind of just assuming Hot Toys would fix the pleather, but it is still pleather. So the fact remains that you could have the same issues here. DLO, what are we doing here? And talk me through this because I might just do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Supergirl as well too for kind of the same reason. I've owned the Selena comic before. Great character, Catwoman's classic, stuff like that. Loved her in the movie as well too. But yeah, I mean, I want to go new. I think Supergirl was surprisingly good for me. I've never been a fan of Supergirl as a character in the comics or animation, or her one movie she did there. So she never really appealed to me, and she was surprisingly really good in that movie. And honestly, I bought into it, and I bought into her, and I wanted to see more Supergirl after that movie here. So yeah, and plus it doesn't hurt that she's gorgeous. So I'm gonna go with Supergirl.
All right. How about you, Steve?
I'm gonna go with Fennec Shan. I'm gonna go with Fennec. Forget both of these. So actually, this is gonna be, I don't know what people are gonna think about this take, but so I haven't seen The Flash yet. But isn't Supergirl is she confirmed? Okay, I'm going to watch it. I can only do so much.
She's Superman's mom.
No, I was gonna say, is she confirmed to be in the new revamped DC?
No,
that's not a confirmed thing yet. So this is interesting because I thought there was a rumor. I thought there was a rumor that she might return,
but I don't think it's been
Peacemaker,
confirmed.
her and the guy who plays Blue Beetle. I heard they were.
No, I think it's Peacemaker, Blue Beetle, and the boss, like the director for the Suicide Squad.
Jeez, Eddie, come on, Eddie.
Bro. Gosh. I think so. Yeah. So this is actually this this Catwoman, I don't I know of the character, but I have no desire to really have the figure. I'd rather have the Supergirl figure because it looks better, and Supergirl is cool. I actually would rather I'd go towards Supergirl, but I've never seen the movie. I need to see the movie, but if I had to pick one, I think her character just looks better. And the pleather thing, that is you better pray to the pleather gods, because that one terrifies me. But so I would go Supergirl. Yeah.
I saw people have to take a shaving razor to the pleather just to get it down to the suede material underneath and make it look uniform. It's terrible.
Right. This is really close for me, and but I think Ben talked me into it, just scaring me off a little bit with the pleather. So I think the Dark Knight trilogy again means more, but she was amazing in the Flash, like D'Lo said. So I think I'm gonna go with the new hotness here, and just I'm gonna stick with you guys. I'm gonna go Supergirl on this one. And let's see, Joey's gonna go Catwoman, Eddie's gonna go Supergirl, Jazzy's gonna go Catwoman, Mad Planet Supergirl. This is hard. Yeah, both can't do that. Mike's gonna go Catwoman. Yep. Eddie knows that's not allowed. Come on now. So pretty split on this one. So this was a good one. I like this one. Let's move on here. Now, keep in mind, this is Scarlet Witch, but this is going to be the sculpted hair because the other one is limited, so I didn't want to put that on here. And then we have Padme. I kind of already know what Sneaker's going to do, so we can skip him. But no,
let D'Lo go first this time.
I want to start with D'Lo on this one.
Yeah, it's tough. I want both of these. This is a hard one for me now. You picked it up a notch here. Well played, sir.
Does one mean more character-wise than the other for you?
Yes. I mean,
neither of them are out yet, so.
No, but listen, this is
Pleather pants.
Guys, I'm about to spoil a 20-year-old movie here for you a second, but I'm not sure if you know this, but she's the mom of Luke and Leia. That's kind of a big deal. So this is a hella tough one, because this Scarlet Witch, when we talked about the other day, I told you how much I wanted this figure to put into my Marvel display, and I wanted this one for years, and I was going to settle on another version just to get one. And then when this came up, I was like, I'm getting this. I don't care if it's rooted or not. I'm going to get this one here. So everybody knows I want this one. But if you're putting me on the spot like this here, and I have to choose one, I got to go with the more important character. I need Padme. Padme is far more important. She's part of a much bigger story than Scarlet Witch, unfortunately, can compete with there. It's hands down. It's got to be Padme in this situation for me.
All right. Ben, let's go with you next.
Damn it. This is a hard one for me, actually. Because I agree. In terms of iconic character, the mother of Darth, or like the wife of Darth Vader, the mother of Luke Skywalker.
Okay, spoilers, guys. Come on.
Just, like that's pretty
Sorry.
solid.
Lord.
However, I think the sculpt for Scarlet is better, and I think if you only could choose one Scarlet Witch, the endgame version would be up there in terms of definitive looks for her. I don't think the sculpt is as strong with Padme, and I also still kind of think one day we're going to get the battle damage version of Padme, where she's got the torn midriff and the scratches down the back and all of that. I could totally see a battle damage version, so I'm going to hold out and get the Scarlet Witch instead of Padme on this round.
Good choice. Good choice. Yeah, Sneaker. I already know what this is gonna be. I was making these today, and I had too much crossover of like Star Wars and Marvel or Star Wars and DC. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't gonna be fun because I know exactly what Sneaker's gonna do. But we did have one here that they kind of just wound up battling each other. So
It'd be interesting. I need to think about there's probably some figures that maybe like, I know we've talked about this in the past, like that I would maybe pick over like specific Star Wars figures, but I'd have to really think about that one. But yeah, so I actually ordered the Artisan Wanda. So it's finished. I ordered the Artisan Wanda because like what Ben said, like definitive Scarlet Witch for me. Like I really like the end game look for her. Like that's the one that I want to get. Similar how we talked about like the Mark III earlier, only having one version of a character. So like that's the one that I'm getting. But yeah, Padme, first Padme figure that's come out. Really important character, like DLO said. Gotta have a Padme in the collection. I gotta go Padme.
Yeah, that was. I saw that one coming.
Yep.
DLO, before I go, really quick, yes or no? If this was the Artisan, or I guess either one of you, and I think Ben picked Scarlet Witch, but either one of you two, if this was the Artisan, would that carry any more weight over Padme?
For me, no. Personally, no. It's just too important figure to like. I need her in my collection more than I need a Wanda. If I'm being honest, and I gotta choose one, like Padme. Despite the fact that I kind of agree with Ben, I think we may get another version. I don't know if the battle damage, that would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
But I mean, I think down the road there will be somewhere, maybe Princess. I forgot what was their long name. Sneaker. What was it? Prince Amidala. Yes, Prince Amidala. It's me. Maybe something like that. I don't know.
Amidala.
Yeah, Queen.
Third party version of Queen Amidala.
The third party actually looked pretty good. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, but yeah, I just feel like she's just too important to like really give that up for something that even as much as I want a Wanda, and this specific Wanda, I think whether it was Artisan or not, I don't think it would change my mind for me personally.
There still is only one Padme coming out, whereas there's also been many Scarlet Witches up to this point.
True.
So it would just be
that is a loophole. You could get an older version.
I guess. Yeah, for sure.
That's a loophole to the game. Yep. It's just these two figures, so you could technically get Civil War or whatever. Yeah, it's a loophole. Sneaker, would that change if this was Artisan, or you're still good with Padme?
Like I would if I could only have one, I'd give up Artisan Wanda to get a Padme figure.
All right, very good, very good. For me, I'm gonna go Scarlet Witch just because it's weird. I love Star Wars more, but I don't necessarily love the prequels more than I did like Infinity War and Endgame. So I've been wanting a Scarlet Witch. I was smart in holding off, being patient with the WandaVision and the Doctor Strange 2. And now this one came, so it kind of paid off for me to wait because this is my ultimate version. So I'm gonna go with Scarlet Witch, and I'll be happy with it. So we're split here on the panel. And let's see. Jazzy says Scarlet. Eddie says Padme. Ed Planet says Padme. Wanda. Yeah. So there you go. Cool. We have one more. And this is a special one for Steve as well. I'm just trying to make his life miserable. And even DLO, I guess, a little bit. And Ben, I don't know I don't know if you're too deep into some of this OT old stuff here, but let's start with Ben on this one.
Yeah, I think what do they call it? The Snowtrooper?
Yeah, so we have the Snowtrooper on the right, and then we have the Death Star Gunner on the left. Both are considered grails of Star Wars hot toys. The price is high. They can be hard to find.
definitely. I actually didn't know the Death Star gunner ever came out. I know that they kind of teased one recently with like a computer station, but I don't know if that was a gunner or just like a kind of an operator.
Just like the officer.
The officer, yeah. But no, I think for me, I think the look of the Snowtrooper is really, really cool. I love that the way the hood kind of comes down like that. I think he would go really, really well with some of the other Trooper collection that I've got up there. So yeah, I think for me, the win would definitely was easy. Just looking at the picture, that's the one that my eyes gravitate to.
Good. How about you, DLO?
Well, I own both, so I don't care.
Me too. This is hard, man. This
Well, you're
one.
giving one to me, and you're keeping one.
No, that's not. That's not how this game
Because
works.
I own neither of them.
I will say, like, the Death Star gunner looks very impressive. It definitely has a very intimidating look to it there, so it's really nice. But I got to give the win to the Snow Trooper. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite versions of a trooper. It's a very fun looking figure. Good stuff. But yeah, it's got a lot going for it. It's got a lot of presence on it too, and you know, it's a brighter color, and that's something that I like for Star Wars here. It's just like there's a lot of. You ever look at your figures of Star Wars? You tend to notice they go through a lot of browns and greens and darker colors there. So it's nice every once in a while to throw in like a trooper, like a normal one or something like this, and just make something pop on the Star Wars shelf. So I would give the win to the Snow Trooper for sure, 100%.
All right, Sneaks.
Yeah, I have both of these as well. Death Star gunner, the pleather jacket terrifies me. I just like I got the arms just straight with fists. I don't even have the arms bent. Dila, I think you have the arms bent on yours, don't you?
I did for a little while. I changed it up recently. Yeah, it's fine. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I was just curious. Is it okay? Is the figure okay?
Oh, that's funny you asked. Yeah, it's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm just asking, man. Yeah, the Death Star gunner is a really cool figure, and yeah, a hard figure to get nowadays without paying a price. But the Snow Trooper, especially if you have the 2-pack, and I know D'Lo has the 2-pack as well, that set is for troopers is just yeah, really, really cool. I would give the edge to the Snow Trooper in this one as well, and I know it's making Graham sad as we speak because he wants one really bad.
And about 45 minutes up the road at a comic book store, there's a single pack and the double pack for sale, but they are pricey. So
yeah,
it's taken some willpower to not take a few figures up there and say, here, put this towards it and give me that Snow Trooper 2-pack. But yeah, it's crazy money. So
it's worth having two of the two Snow Troopers too. Like there's not a lot of troopers I like.
$1,000 they want.
Yeah, there's not a lot of troopers I like to double up on, but having a couple Snow Troopers and like the accessories that come with one has like the rocket launcher and stuff because it's like a video game masterpiece one from Battlefront 2. It's just like, yeah, that set of both of those is really cool.
I'm gonna go with the Snow Trooper pretty easily for me too, because I've been eyeing that figure up for a while, and maybe one day I will get it. So yeah, let's see what you guys said here quick. Death Star Gunner, all right, Snow Trooper, and both are dope. They really are, and that's what we try to do. We try to make it tough. So that was Hot Toys Versus. Hopefully you guys enjoyed playing that with us and hearing why we would pick those and what makes us tick as collectors. We're going to end the show here tonight. We had a lot of good conversations. We talked about a lot of fun stuff. Appreciate the Ben Thomas show being on tonight, being our special guest. Always a pleasure with my Wolfpack brothers as well. You can find in the description below, you can find Ben Thomas's YouTube page, his IG channel, as well as the other boys, including Brick Artemis too, who couldn't be here tonight. So you can find them. Go subscribe, go follow, and be a part of the community. Before we go, just want to give you guys a quick plug. Ben, why don't you go first? What's going on in your channel? What you got coming out?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me here, guys. It was awesome joining. I had a great time with the conversation. I got a sick girlfriend out in the other room, so I'm going to go get her some meds here pretty soon and some water. But thanks to Brick Artemis as well for going on vacation, so I could, slip into your DMs and get on the show for a night. So, no, it was a great time. Would love to be back if you guys ever have an opportunity to bring me over. So, for me, you can find me over my channel, The Ben Thomas Show. I'm about 8 subs away from 2.2K, so it's slowly getting there. I talk a lot about kind of everything. I called it the Ben Thomas Show because if it's on my channel, it means something to me. So whether that's figures, TV, gaming, movies, doesn't matter what it is. If it's on there, I think it's cool. So join me for the conversation. I have been doing a live show on Sundays. I've taken the last couple weeks off because of Canadian Thanksgiving and a bunch of things. But Let's Get Nuts is the live show. It'll come back next Sunday. So if you guys are into that, definitely check it out with me and the boys. And then you can always find me over on Collecting Weekly every Tuesday night for their live show. I've been with them now for about a year. They're like brothers to me. I love those guys. So if you've been missing the Tuesday show, come and check it out as well. But yeah, loved the evening with you guys, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, we used to do the Bargain Bit Brothers too, but
yeah, I haven't been able to get
some
there
people
for a
have been
minute, so-
kind of falling behind. Maybe Shane, Marco, Breda,
It's a horrible time for me. It's like Friday morning, right when I'm in
It is
meeting,
horrible.
So I'm like,
Yeah, it is tough, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Sneaker, what you got going on?
Yeah,
You
so
just did a
yesterday,
video.
what's that?
You just did a video.
I did a video, top 10 Star Wars figures in my collection. You guys can go check that out. And then yesterday I did the Collector Tour episode 9 with Collecting Madness, Chris. So you guys can check that, the replay out for that. A show where I interview collectors kind of about their collecting journey and gaining their insight into the hobby. So Ben, if you ever want to come on to the Collector Tour, man, I'd love to have you on for an episode. So we can chat about that if you'd like. And then I have my collection tour posted that I posted, I think, a couple of weeks ago now. So you can go check that out. Otherwise, yeah, I'm working on getting another collector tour episode ready for next week. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So busy.
DLO, you've been breaking your back, filming and prepping and studying your collection and doing your collection tour. Where are we at with that?
It's done. It drops next week. Just kidding.
Whoa.
It's dropping on Friday. Just kidding, guys. It is not next week. We're dropping it Friday, guys. It's done. It's done. It's in the background right now, uploaded as we speak. So it's in the can, baby. Collection Tour 3.0 on the way. So
Let's go.
hang on to your shit. It's about to get real in D-Lo's room. So get excited. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah, it was labor love. I deal with these guys. I feel like they nag me every day about it. Then I told them my process. Like I literally have like moved everything, reposed everything. And it's not easy to do on a ladder. Just so you guys know, I got to use a ladder for some of these here, so it's not as easy as you think. But it's done. Recorded, voiceover, fancy smancy intro, the whole nine. It's going to be a banger. So, yep, when it drops Friday morning, I'll put a link in my IG, DLO The Collector, and you guys can go find me there and click on the link, and you can see my new Moducase tour 6.5 months afterwards. What I think about them now. So
Sweet.
Sounds
good
good.
stuff. Can't
Looking
wait
forward to
check
that.
you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. My channel, I don't even remember what I did lately. Does anybody remember my latest? Oh, I just did a
Update.
Yeah, I just did an update on the cases and where everything is and how it looks and whatnot. And obviously we do Wolfpack Wednesdays, so make sure you're here every Wednesday. We're doing a special Halloween Wolfpack Wednesday, but it's on a Tuesday, so it's a special. So come join us for that. We are going to be dressing up, so we will have costumes on. So come join us for that. And outside of that, yeah, just going to keep plugging along. I might actually do, because I have no content in the pipeline, I might do what Steve did. I might just copy you and do my top 5 or 10 Star Wars figures in my collection just to have some fun. So
Stealing your ideas.
hey, that's what this is all
It is.
about, right? We
I
all
might just-
steal each
I might
other's
just
ideas.
copy you. You should. I'd be
My
interested to see
top
what
10 least favorite Star Wars figures.
I'd be interested to see what your top 10 are. So you should do it for sure.
It'll be fun. So with that said, again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys out there for watching. You guys lit up the chat yet again. You guys do a great job just keeping this thing going, keeping it interesting. So we appreciate you guys for that. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the week. And until next time, stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.